Hope everyone's doing all right. Let me just bring up the live chat here. Now, last time I did one of these live streams, I realized I had it on a different sort of chat mode where I wasn't catching everything that was getting written. So I'm going to change that today. So hopefully I can keep a better eye on it because I don't intentionally miss messages. So let me see how we go here. All right, I've changed this round, so hopefully this live chat now thingy works better. All right, so welcome everybody. Let us know where you're from if you are tuning in. If you have any questions, I'll get to them. I'm also going to do another sort of hangout thing with Rick as well coming up pretty soon, so stay tuned for that. All right, we're going bridge pickup today. Let me just fire this up. I'm just going to move one more thing over here and we should be good to go. All right, here we go. Let me just pop this over here. Where's the chat gone? All right, there we go. All right, I think I'm sorted. It always takes me a little while to get this set up just perfect so I can read everything and I can face forward a little bit more. All right, welcome. We've got Russell, Ken, John, 2 Johns in a row. How about that? We've got Dylan, welcome in. Landon as well. We've got, let's scroll down here. We've got John from the UK, awesome. North Carolina, Kevin, welcome. All right, plenty of folks here already, that's unreal. So yeah, I'm going to just try and live stream a little bit, maybe once, maybe twice a week, just depending on what's coming up. I was going to launch another video this morning, but I held off on that. I thought I'd rather go live. I've got some pretty cool stuff coming up. I actually purchased a few new microphones to do some testing on that are like inexpensive. So we're going to see whether or not they're any good. And one of them rocks. So yeah, we'll get to that. So I'm just going to try and put out a couple more videos a week. If you missed my last live stream, that's the idea now. Not to go live every day or anything like that, because my voice won't handle that very well. But yeah, I still want to just make good content for you guys while you're bored. So I think I'm out of tune. Something shocking. Yep. I love when strings go sharp. It's like, what? Flat I understand, but sharp is a bit weird. How do people get that kind of tone? So I actually, it's just, getting good tone is a combination of what you got to know what you're trying to achieve, right? And then it comes down to how you play. Because I've seen guys with really horrible tone live, and then someone else will get on their gear and it sounds like $1 million, right? So it's a combination of things, but the amp is the most important thing. Over the guitars don't matter as much. I mean, it's nice to play a nice guitar, but that whole law of diminishing returns where, this is a great example. You can buy a Mexican Strat, or I could, for example, and then I could go buy an American one and I'm not going to sound any better, right? That's just the actual fact of it. It's not going to make me a better player. It's not going to make me sound any better because both those instruments are great. But when it comes to the amplifier, the amp, there's a bigger separation between junk and really great amps, and then it just comes down to your playing. So, how long before you test out the new Fender Mustang GTX? Look, I actually spoke to my friend at Sky Music about that the other day, and he was like, as soon as they come in, grab on if you want to do a review. And I was like, I didn't even know they were coming out, right? Like, I had no idea that that was even a thing because I just don't watch any NAMM videos. So he goes, as soon as they come in, you can borrow one and do a review on it. So now I can't talk today. What's going on? So yeah, that's the plan with that. But now I think they're open again. So it's a little confusing what's going on with the shops and availability and all that kind of thing. So I'm sure I'm going to get a text message whenever they come in, so hang in there. I think there's a lot of stuff that's currently being delayed in terms of deliveries and all that. As you can probably imagine, a lot of people are home. So a lot of people are getting stuff delivered, including myself. Like Actually supported a few of the local online businesses, like music shops, and had a few things actually sent to the house. No YouTuber discount or whatever. I just, I got it because I thought it's good. It's good to do that. So yeah, the courier companies are under the pump. But whenever they come in, I'll definitely be doing a full review of that. I'm really interested to see if they are actually now better than the previous versions, the Mustang version 2s. And speaking of which, too, hey, Craig, thanks, man. He says, hi, Shane, thanks for keeping us entertained during these difficult times. No problems, mate. It's good for me to do this as well. It really is. Rather than just sitting around doing nothing, chatting to everybody who might enjoy the channel or the videos, or who might tune in from time to time, or who are bored or feeling a bit funky. I was feeling funky a few weeks back, and I didn't do anything for nearly 2 weeks, which is really unusual. Well, I did some stuff, but I wasn't really making videos. I wasn't in the right mindset. I tried filming one, and I looked at it in editing after spending 40 minutes, and I just went, nah, delete. Do it again when you're back into it. So, yeah. All right, great to catch a live stream from the UK. Thanks, mate. We got Scott from Fort Worth, Texas. I always love the name of that place, Fort Worth. Man, there's a place sound any cooler than that. What's going on? The Harley Benson has failed me tuning wise here. Keeps going out, I'll actually swap guitars. But you know what? I've still got the same strings on here since it turned up. I'm really lazy with string changing. I wait till something breaks now or if I need a tetanus shot, and then I change it. Oh, thanks, Tone Pilot. Thanks, man. You don't have to do that, man. Thanks for the virus therapy fund. Yeah, there's a lot of people who I'm sure are going to be in a funk. I actually thought about starting another YouTube channel because a lot of people who are... I'm going to change guitars. Tell you what, a lot of people who have always thought about doing something online, now's the perfect chance to do that as well. So it might be something that, it won't be a guitar-related thing. It'll just be how to do things from your house, in any capacity, whether you want to start your own little business and how long it might take to grow and things to think about. Because, right now, the online thing is... It's sort of saved me. If I was working at my old job, which was a really great company to work for, I'd be feeling it, like I wouldn't be working. So I feel kind of lucky in a way that if I can share some information to help everybody out as well, that would be cool. I might go away sooner than later, hopefully, but if it doesn't, 1 year from now or 6 months from now, you might be able to, be established doing something. So, oh man, thank you, Pork Chop. I appreciate that. For toilet paper only, not Pepsi Max. You know what? I got to confess, I just bought some this morning. Pepsi Max. All right, we're going over to the tally. We're gonna go play this for a while. This is the one that buzzes. Who would buy a tally? Single coil pickups, Buzz City. Do I have a webcam I would recommend? Yeah, look, I just use this Logitech C920. There's a newer one, I think the C930 as well, which is a really good one. It is more expensive. I think it's got a wider field of view, and it's got a slightly better lens. But they're all fine, for doing YouTube stuff. So yeah, Logitech C920. Ricardo says, awesome Aussies back at it. Major fan hailing from Massachusetts. Thank you. Cheers. Boston's a great city, man. I love it. Thanks for the super chats, guys. I appreciate that. Let me just take some questions here. I'll scroll back up. I think I missed a few. Are you preparing? Oh, so that's to someone else. Hey, Shane, thoughts on the J-Rocket pedals? Any experience? Yeah, they're pretty good. I've tried some of them back in, oh man, I'm going to say 6 years ago, and they were fine. So, actually, J-Rocket, that's the one with the Archer. So no, not 6 years ago. I'm thinking of another company. Yeah, they're quite good. They're quite good. I tried Rick had the Archer Icon one, and yeah, it's a great J Rocket. I think J Rocket are Archer Icon pedals, or is that a different brand? I'm getting confused. But yeah, I have tried some. I want to say I've owned one as well, but I can't recall. I've just tested so many pedals, sometimes I get them confused. But I used to have this blue one, which was an overdrive, and if that's that company, it was awesome. I'm an idiot for selling it. Oh, guys, thank you. Brink, Pepsi Max Fund only. That's hilarious. Thank you, guys. Look, seriously, guys, if you don't have to super chat, just hang out. It's totally cool. It keeps me busy, and I'm sure you guys might enjoy it as well. So, how's Australia? You guys aren't getting any breaks. Yeah, we've had a pretty rough ride in terms of this year. With we had the fires, and then we had the floods, and now we got the virus. So, yeah, it's crazy times. It really is. But I'm sure there's other places that, LA had fires too, didn't they, for like months. So, has my PRSSC got the original pickups in it? I love the sound of that guitar. It has. Yeah, I have no plans on changing those pickups at all. Why have I got no sound? Oh, I didn't plug back in. That'll do it. I've done that at a gig. Why have I got no sound? Everything's plugged in. It's like, your guitar's not plugged in. Oh, yeah. That'll do it. Grab the PRS. Ah, this feels so good to play. And that's what I was getting at before, that law of diminishing returns thing. It's not going to make me... it might help me play a little bit better, but it just feels great to play. And I think that's the thing that I look for. Yeah, but in terms of the PRS, I'll grab it. I think it's actually... It is. It's right behind me, so I'll grab it out in a bit. Please use the Twin Tone Master. I tell you what, the next live stream, I'll do that, absolutely. It's actually not in this room at the moment. It's in another room, or in the passage here, so right now I can't grab it and set it up. But next live stream, I'll use the Tone Master Twin. No problems. Man, I love the tone of this thing. So I'm using the Kemper today. I profiled my Blues Deluxe using the Keeley Super Fat Mod overdrive pedal, and that's what you're hearing. So, yeah, it's a pretty cool tone. Bit more drive than I would use if I was playing live, but it's fun for the live stream. Let me scroll down here. Have I played a Music Man Stingray 2 from the late 70s? I haven't. No, I've played a few Music Man guitars over the years, but never like an old one. I don't know if they make lefties from back then or not. I'm not too sure about that. Hey Shane, King of Tone or the Royal Flush? Royal Flush all day. And the reason why is because it's easy to get, and in my opinion, it sounds better. There's a video out there comparing them both where they both sound pretty similar to each other. From my experience using the King of Tone version that I used, which wasn't mine, I borrowed it, it didn't sound anything like the Royal Flush. So I don't know what's changed, or that dude's recording setup is a bit different, but the Royal Flush is awesome. And there's also a new version of that straight flush. So it's like the same gain you would get out of the 2-in-1 in a single pedal with a toggle switch. So yeah, that might be worth sort of checking out as well. I think I've got a couple of those coming, like to check out the new one. So I might do a comparison video or something like that. But yeah, the Royal Flush is by far my favorite all-in-one overdrive. It's great. That and the Carrera Buffalo Effects pedal, the overdrive they make is unreal. Let me ingest some caffeine. Now, I did give up energy drinks a little while back, but I find they make me way more productive. Maybe that's why I wasn't doing much, giving up the caffeine. Which Marshall amp do I have? From Scott. I've got the Marshall DSL 40. It's the CR model from, I think I got it in 2018. So yeah, I've got it loaded with a Texas Heat speaker to kind of take out some of that top end. Might not be for everybody, but I can get that amp without any pedals to sound a lot like my Blues Deluxe with pedals. So it's pretty wild. What do I prefer, dotted or block inlays? Interesting question, and thank you, Guitar Journey. I appreciate that, mate. So in terms of, it really just depends on the vibe of the guitar. I think on a 335, I prefer the block ones, and on Les Pauls, I just think it looks a little bit better. But on something like this, I think block inlays would look ridiculous. I like how clean this looks, you know, filling it up with stuff along the fretboard. Yeah, I don't think it would really look anywhere near as good as this. So for me, it just depends, but it's not a deal breaker either way. Like if I found a 335, for example, or my Flying V. See, the Flying V might look all right with block inlays. Maybe. I don't know. But it's something that doesn't bother me. Really, when it comes down to it. If it suits the guitar, then it's good. I don't know if you can see my Les Paul back here, or the Tokai one. But I really like that. I really think that looks good. It would probably look fine with that colored dot inlays as well. But on a guitar that's really sort of like blingy in terms of its color and it really pops, I would probably say that the block inlays would be what I prefer. What pickups are in this Tele? All stock, man. So yeah, this was the first Telecaster that I played ever as a lefty. Well, there's been two, but this was local to me, which really helped. Where I love the sound of it, and I have no plans on changing out the pickups or doing anything. It's just the stock original Series 50s Tele. Oh man, far out. Jamal, thank you, man. For the Isolation Guitar Fund, great to hear Dr. Rick is free of the virus. Yeah, so I didn't want to bring this up, guys, because, you know, I didn't want to speak on behalf of Rick, and we'll have a chat to him, but he got really sick because he's a doctor. A lot of people think Dr. Rick is like an honorary title, you know, like Sir something, but they've got no qualifications. No, Rick's a real doctor, right? So, yeah, he's the real deal. And he got pretty sick, and he's been posted on his Instagram, which is RSELP, if you want to follow that, RSELP. And yeah, he was like posting some videos, and I spoke to him on the phone a few times. He's like, oh, I'm waiting for my test to come back. And yeah, he got the all clear. So I said, oh, great, now he can go back to work and get it for real. Because, you know, he works for sick people. So yeah, it's pretty crazy. For that tuning issue, ET Slippery Nut Cream for the win. Good New South Wales man too. Awesome stuff, man. Thank you, Derek. Yeah, I'm actually Melbourne, Australia here, so good to have a few Aussies on here. So thank you for the bloody super chats, guys. You don't have to do that. I don't know if I should. Your Quicksilver, your comment is funny, but it got delisted, so to speak. I didn't do that. That's the spam bot. So yeah, maybe reword it a little bit. Do I have any Sparkle guitars? I don't know if that's a brand, but the one Sparkle guitar I do have still is the Dan Electro. I don't plan on keeping that though. I wasn't a big fan of it in the review that I did of it. And the fact that it feels like you can't play past about here on the back of the neck because the way that it joins, it's just not a guitar that, you know, if it had a better playability, I'd probably keep it, but yeah. Putting chrome pickup covers on my Gibson Les Paul devalue the guitar? Look, probably not. It just depends. If it's an old one, yes, and if it's a modern one, it shouldn't make any difference. But you're only talking about it devaluing if you're planning on selling it. If you're planning on selling it, don't put any extra money into it. That would be my suggestion. Waste the money putting money into a guitar only to sell it. Unless it doesn't play well and you need it set up. That's the only expense I would pay to get a guitar playable and back to how it should be playing before I sell it, to make sure that it goes. So someone will pick it up and go, wow, it plays great. But don't go buying like parts for it if it doesn't need it. That would be, and you're planning on selling it. It doesn't make sense. Don't forget to hit the like button. Thanks, Matt. Mark, sorry. Appreciate that, mate. Evan Ward. The emoticons say it all. That's funny. Derek Smith from Melbourne. Awesome stuff. Glad to hear Dr. Rick is fine. Yeah, me too. Yeah, he wasn't sounding good on the phone, I tell you. So, have I ever played a Gordon Smith guitar? You know what? I haven't. I don't even know if I've heard of them before. I reckon everybody's guitar playing should be increasing 10% by the time this is all done, at least 10%, including my own. So I'm starting to work on some stuff, starting to get some new muscle memory and some chords that I haven't played much of over the years, or if at all. So yeah, I'm putting some time in as well. And I hope everyone else is doing that. And Robert Baker always says something great too. You know, if you're sitting there just watching a live stream and you've got an electric guitar, pick it up and noodle around on it. Just play while you watch something. That's what I do as well. It's a really good, I don't do it all the time, but it's a really handy thing for sort of like the longer live streams. Just pick up a guitar and sort of clunk away and while you're sitting there doing nothing else. They call that net time, no extra time. It's the best thing in the world. You know, if you're driving, you could be like learning Spanish or another language or whatever. If you drive to work, say you spend 10 hours a week in a car, that's a lot of time you could be putting into learning another language or whatever, or listening to podcasts about a topic and soaking in information. So, yeah, same thing with this. Just pick up a guitar and have a play. God, I can't talk today. What's going on? What would you say to us in the USA that are apprehensive about buying a Harley Benton T52 Tele? Should we just go buy a Squire Bullet Affinity or Classic Vibe? So the Harley Benton T52 in my opinion, kills the Bullet Affinity Series 1. It's not even close. So it's on par with the Classic Vibe. I actually prefer it over the Classic Vibe, mostly because the neck is fatter. Now, if you're not into a fat neck, buy the Classic Vibe. In terms of the pickups, the Classic Vibe probably has a slight edge there, possibly, but the Roswells in the Harley Benton stuff is great, man. Like, the Harley Benton T52 has a neck almost as big as this, which is a Fender. Well, this is a U-shaped one. My other one's a vintage sort of 52 style one, so it's not quite as fat. But yeah, the Harley Bentons are great. Like, and you'll have no problems flipping it if you didn't like it. But yeah. Look, you're lucky in the US that the Classic Vibes don't cost you $1,000 like they do here, right? Because you can buy delivered 3 Harley Bentons for the price of 1 Classic Vibe in Australia. So, yeah, I think it's worth the risk. But if something, you know, I've had one turn up to the house that was a mess, and that's the review I did of it. I'm not going to put a review out there saying, oh, everything's great, even though it's got a broken tuner, a wonky tuner, and it had cracks on the back of the fretboard and all that on the back of the neck. You know, I've had one that's been dodgy out of 6 or something that have turned up. So, yeah, I really don't have any hesitations recommending those. I'm not saying the Classic Vibes are bad guitars, because they're great. You know, I've done some of the best memories I've ever had playing live are with Classic Vibes. But they're at a very different price here. But in the US, way up the cost difference. I would say if you're not partial to a fat neck, go for the Classic Vibe. The Squire Bullet ones, they're not a good long-term guitar. They're okay, right? Like, and if you've got one, and it plays well, go for it. But I don't think they're a guitar I would personally take out and play live, whereas I would take out the Harley Benton and the Classic Vibes all day. One of the most popular amp brands in Australia, and how do they stand against brands like Fender and Marshall? If you're talking about Australian companies, there's a few boutique builders, but they're not household names at all. So what you usually find is there's no or very little originality when it comes to Australian-made amps. They're all copies of something else. They look either like Fenders, or they look like Marshalls, or they look like any other brand that's popular. And they might be handmade, but they're essentially the same thing. I thought that was cool for a while, and then I started going, you're copying everything. It just doesn't really make sense. So, yeah, I'm not inclined to buy an Australian-made hand-wired amp that's a copy of a Fender amp that's half the price. It just doesn't make sense to me. Look, some people can justify the whole handmade thing. I don't. I just don't think it's worth it. And after comparing handmade amps and PCB ones, I really don't feel like the tone difference really. I couldn't hear it. Well, I could actually hear some differences, but better or worse is subjective too. So, yeah, in terms of Australian brands, I haven't really heard one that I really go, oh wow, I've got to have that. You know, the only one that really isn't a copy of everything else was Ulbrich Amplifiers, but I'm pretty sure he shut shop due to floods at one point in time, or his factory got flooded or something like that. Dave Ulbrich made great amps. They weren't for me personally, and when I hear them, they've got this really sort of muted top end thing that I don't like. But they're probably the best local amps. That's Ulbrick. Sorry if I missed your question here. Let me just go back up. How about the artist? Oh, how about the classic vibe versus the artist guitar? All right, so I would probably, if you're on a budget, get the artist guitar, but be cautious of how heavy they are. They're brutal. That humbuck of, what was it called? I forgot what it was called. There was an artist tally that I reviewed. It had 2 humbuckers. I mentioned about 5 times in that video. It was a great sounding guitar. It felt great to play, but it was like hurting my leg. It was that heavy. So yeah, I probably give the edge. If it was me buying one and they were a comparable price, I'd take the classic vibe. You did a great video on tone from quiet volumes using pedals at low volumes. Your thoughts on your input in the front of the amp versus the pedal EQ through the effects loop, which sounds better to your ears? I kind of like using pedals in the front end of the amp. You can use them in the effects loop, but sometimes it can add a bit of buzz. This is just my experience. This isn't like all of the time. And while delays and all that kind of stuff are really great for going through the effects loop, I don't really like using overdrive pedals in that way unless they're kind of designed as a preamp pedal. And then it's a different thing. But I find if you don't turn the amp up loud enough, or what you want to try and do is still run the amp kind of loud and then turn it down on the pedal. You still get a pretty full sound that way. But there's no rule to it at all. It's just the thing that I've been doing for years. And I remember when I recorded one of my albums, I did that exact thing. I had my pedals going through an amp. I just attenuated it and cranked the gain up on the sound card, and it worked really well. So yeah, I mean, try them both, man. I really don't think there's a right or wrong way to do it. That's just the way that I found kind of works best for most overdrives that aren't strictly like a preamp pedal. Fretless electric guitars, yes or no? If you're a fusion player, go for it. Not for me though. I ordered a lefty Fender player Telecaster in black. Okay, cool. I didn't know they did that. Oh, player Telecaster. Sorry, I'm thinking original. Yeah. A few days ago, can't wait to play it. Your video on the telly helped me decide. Oh, they're great. I mean, Mexican, those player series are, yeah, they're gig worthy. They'll last you a long time. You'll love it. Violet says, what's my thoughts on Harley Benton cabinets? I haven't tried one. But if they're anything like the Joyo ones, which they are, they're basically the same configuration, they're fine. They're loaded with good speakers, and for the price, it's pretty good. All right. Strat versus Tele for a beginner, what would I suggest? I'd probably say go for a Strat. And the reason I'm going to say that is just because you get more sounds. And I think more people are familiar with a Stratocaster when they listen to music than they are with a Tele. Teles can do what the Strat does, and I would argue it does some of those things better, but you get less sound options, right? So if you're a fan of, say, Dire Straits, you're not going to get the same kind of, close sound to that kind of thing. So I would almost just suggest anyone buying a new guitar, find out what you love, pick your favorite 10 songs and find out why you like that guitar sound and look into it and see what they play. That's how I sort of started. I went, I kind of like, Clapton and Knopfler and all these guys, and what do they play? Oh, they got a Strat. All right, I'll get a Strat. So that made sense to me at that time. Not all Teles are created equal as well, and same with Strats. So you've just got to find one that feels good to play, and find out who it is that inspires you to want to play, and work out what they're using. There'll be information all over the web about that. So, all right, I think I like this live chat way better than the top chat one. This makes it easier to sort of find out what's going on. James, welcome. Let me scroll down. Favorite blues breaker pedal, the old Fender one. Oh, the old Fender one, the old Marshall one. Sorry, the vintage one that I just reviewed. It's great. Oh, man. Sorry to hear that, Margaret. No good. Strat versus Tele for a beginner. Oh, that's the same question. Have I had a chance to check out the Mustang GTX? Not yet. As soon as they come in, I'll no doubt get a text. But, things are held up at the moment in terms of when things are turning up at shops and when I'll be able to borrow it. So hang in there. It'll definitely be coming. I've already organised to be notified of that. I think we're getting spammed here. One of the mods can take care of that. Hang on. Oh, yeah. All right. I'm thinking of buying the Boss Next Tone online. What would you say? Would you say that's a good buy? So I actually just did a review of that at guitarpedaldemos.com as well. It's just a written review. It goes over all the pros and cons and who it's for. I think its strength is the clean channel. The delays built into it are really great. It still suffers from all the same drawbacks of most amps that have digital stuff on top of a great solid state amp. So yeah, it's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but it's pretty good. It's a great home amp. It records relatively well. I love the power attenuator on the top, but yeah, I think it's a pretty solid amplifier, and it's a whole lot more simple than the Katana is overall. So if that appeals to you, it's probably a good option too. But I would probably say check out my full review on it. I've done a video review on it. There's 2 videos that went up. And I also did a full written review just recently. It might have gone up like a week ago. So after using it for a certain amount of time, I like to follow it up and think about, like, after using it live and after trying it in different situations, what do I think of it like that? So check it out. I think it's the first post on guitarpedaldemos.com. Doug, thank you, man. Far out. Hope you're well. Appreciate that, mate. Thank you. Yeah, I think Margaret was trolling there. You never know with chats. Sometimes you sort of just feel out who's spamming and who isn't. The The Quilter 101 Mini is a good, simple solid-state amp. That's from Audio Venturist. Yeah, they're a popular amplifier as well. They're kind of like these really small little Class D heads that are loud. So you'll need a cab. Oh, actually, they make combos too. I've seen a few combos out there. 2 10s and a single 12 and whatever else. But yeah, I think for that kind of money, just buy an old PV Bandit. It kills it in the live mix. But if you get one of those heads and you run it into like a really great cabinet, it's going to sound awesome. Justice for Margaret. Been watching the channel. Oh, that's for Lando. Yeah, cool. Hi Shane, have you tried the Helix or Iridium for say an open mic night? No. Rick had a Line 6 Helix, but he flipped it. It's the same old problems, that come with those units. They're not for gigging musicians. They really aren't, unless you've got the same setup every week in and week out. If you're playing at 5 different, venues in a month, not that there's any gigs anymore, but it's hypothetically speaking, or retroactively speaking, if you were playing at 5 different places a month, it would sound completely different at every venue. So I would say, this new Iridium thing is pretty cool. I think Rick's actually got one of those as well. So when he's decontaminated, we'll see if we can do a video about it. But I'm not big into any of those digital multi-effects for live use. I've tried them. I've tried I haven't tried what's it called? What's the big one called? The Head Rush. A mate of mine's got it, and after it didn't do what he thought it would do one night, just randomly, something went wrong internally and he couldn't work it out. It was the worst experience he's ever had, the poor guy. So I had the same sort of thing with the Kemper. I had it dialed in through my studio monitors. I'm like, this is going to be the perfect live, amp for the venue I was playing at. And to be fair, it did sound okay, right? But to make adjustments on these things in the heat of the moment, it's an absolute nightmare. So I would always say analog pedals over digital multi-effects for live use. If you're playing at home, different story, right? If you want to record, those all-in-one pedals are really great. But if you get a Joyo American Sound or any of those kind of things, they're an amp sim analog pedal. If you need more drive, you crouch down, you turn it up. It's just a much easier, more simple option to get a really great tone. You can use your pedal board if you've got one. So yeah, that's the way I would do it. This is just coming from like a live player's perspective, not so much, I record here at home, but a question was talking about open mic nights and live playing. You'll be able to get away with it, right? But if something isn't right to your ear and you have to fix it and you've got limited amount of time, like you do it at an open mic night, it could be a huge problem. So I would say save your money and get a $40 Joyo American Sound pedal. Oh. Quilter fits in your bag, gotta like that. Absolutely. Yeah, that's one of the cool things about it. Look, small and light is really practical. There's nothing wrong with that. Anything light will generally get used more than something that's the exact opposite, right? Especially if you're playing out live. Ricardo says, I'm a disabled veteran. I suffered TBI and I'm learning to play all over again. I don't know what that is. Sorry, man. Sorry to hear that. I'd like to get some lessons, but I'm on a fixed budget. Are there any affordable online options other than YouTube? Absolutely, mate. I mean, look, if you want to learn blues, go see Texas Blues Alley. I don't know what he charges. I haven't looked for a long time, but he's the best at blues lessons. They're easy to follow. Excuse me. He's a great player, a nice guy, and he's legit. So I would highly recommend him. He'll have lessons for everything by now, like absolutely everything. It's a website separate from YouTube. He might have YouTube videos obviously embedded into it, but they're not public ones. I would say go check out Texas Blues Alley. If you want to play rock and roll, check out guys like Robert Baker. Even though he's a monster player, he's got a lot of, I'm pretty sure he's got like full-blown beginner stuff as well. So YouTube's a great resource too. There's so much great stuff you can find without having to spend any money. And, I've learned so many licks by watching YouTube videos. So, yeah. Have I tried the Earl Slickliner guitars? No. It's another brand I've never heard of. I just bought a set of Lindy Fralin Blues pickups. I hope they sound good. I'm sure they will. Lindy Fralin make great stuff. Needs a bit more snap. It's got a bit too much bass. I was using my other guitar before. It's a bit better. See, that's that Strat neck pickup sound. Marty Schwartz. There you go. There's another recommendation. Marty's been around forever. He seems like a dude. I haven't met him, but he seems like an absolute dude. Do any of my guitars have a dead spot that I'm aware of? I did have a dead spot on one of them, but I got it fixed. It was just a high fret. That's usually all it is. Sometimes the neck can also be bent too far back or too far forward, which can also cause problems. But yeah, if you look down the neck and it doesn't look extremely bent either way, it could also be that the fact that one of these little saddles needs to come up a little bit if the string's way too low. I don't play with super low action. I don't want it super high either, but I want to just make sure that it's somewhere in the middle, you know. And they say the Robert Cray setup is pretty much what everybody would want. So go check out the Robert Cray setup guide, and there's actual measurements for the strings. That's kind of what I would start with if you're having problems. It could just be that you need the saddle adjusted. I can't figure the difference between a G-sharp bar chord, an A-flat and a G-sharp bar chord. Are they both point a finger on the 4th fret as a bar chord? So that's exactly the same chord, right? So I'll say G-sharp minor. Or some people say, you know, A-flat minor. It's exactly the same, right? So, yeah, you don't have to worry about that. There's a few of those on the guitar. So you got F-sharp. Yeah, B-flat is another one. Could also be A-sharp as well. So, yeah, there's a few different ways. Well, F-sharp is F-sharp in my opinion. Yeah, B flat and A sharp, exactly the same chords, and same with G and A flat. So yeah, it's just, I don't know what it is. I think the jazzers say B flat more than blues guys will go A sharp. You know, I don't know why, but I think that's just the way that it works. Yeah, that's actually my favorite key now. Yeah, B flat's great. That's a wrong note. So dead spot is basically, someone was just asking about that question before. When you might be playing, say, a bend, but you get this. It just doesn't give you the... So dead spot to me is basically like a dead note. You play a note somewhere and nothing comes out of the guitar, or it sounds like you're hitting the fret or the string's hitting the fret. At least that's my interpretation of that question. Yeah, I've definitely had that before. It's just, will I ever start writing and selling guitar tab? No, I don't think so. what I'd like to do at some point is put together like a 30-minute really great blues lick lesson video. It's something that I have trouble explaining it when I'm sitting there trying to explain the licks, so I'd really need to put a lot of time into getting all of that sort of sorted out beforehand. But yeah, as of right now, no, I don't really it's not high on my list. I don't read tabs unless I really get stuck. I just don't get any. Yeah, tabs aren't always right either. People whinge when it isn't right, or they think it's a different way, and no. Hey Ross, welcome man. He says, what you call them depends on the key you were playing. There you go. That's in relation to the B flat and the A sharp thing. Or A flat and G sharp, sorry. There you go. But yeah, same chord, so whatever you're playing is right. What headphones am I rocking? These are the what are these? The Audio Technica ATH M20X. These aren't super expensive, but they cancel out some noise, which is what I like. They're not noise cancelling headphones traditionally, but they fit over your ear. They're nice and comfortable. For the price, they're pretty good. Jazz people, I'm not sure. Jazz people, I think, often operate in flats because of trumpets. Yeah, well, that's it. B flat is the jazz key, no doubt about that. Scroll down here. How many people we got in the chat, by the way? I didn't think to look. Let's refresh this and see if it shows me here. Might change guitars in a sec as well. It's going to play. For some reason, I don't know what it is about my my computer lately. It's not showing me like how many people are watching. But anyway, I don't know what it is. But if you're enjoying the live stream, guys, please give it a thumbs up. Appreciate that. Oh, here we go. 169. Far out. Well, thanks for hanging out. Hopefully I'm relieving your boredom a little bit, and I'm also relieving my boredom. Let me show you some different stuff, what I got coming up. So I'm trying to mix things up, and being that the channel's always trying to do different things from time to time, I'm going to try a couple of different microphone reviews, which I actually paid for. So one of them is this, which will be up in the next day or two. I was actually going to release it before the video I had planned for the weekend, which is how to set up a whole digital audio workstation thing, like if you want to do some home recording. But I figured people will be like, oh, how come you didn't put that microphone in that video? Because I actually got this just yesterday. So this is the Behringer B906. So if you know anything about microphones, you might be saying, this looks really familiar to this guy, which is the Sennheiser E906, which I bought, I don't know, maybe 3 months ago or something like that, maybe 2 months ago. And I love using this. It's been a really great option. So just to put it into context, these are about 200 Australian dollars or about 189. This was 89 bucks. So it's very, very similar. I'm going to do a review on this, and in the review, I do a comparison. I'm a little shocked, actually, how great this is. It has some drawbacks to it as well, which I mentioned in the video coming up, but yeah, it's a pretty cool mic. So those two are going to be sort of doing a shootout between those. And then I also bought another one. They released a couple of new mics. Now, there's no real videos on these on YouTube yet. And Behringer I think Australia gets Behringer gear before everywhere else. I noticed that. I bought a synthesizer maybe a synthesizer. How do you say that in the German accent? It sounds better. I bought a synth a while back to do some like ambient stuff. I didn't keep it for long, but yeah. And it was one of those things that it turned up in Australia way sooner than everywhere else. But they also released one of the most original looking microphones I've ever seen in my life. They released an SM57 style mic, which is their 70, what's it called? SL75C. So, yeah, I'm going to put that against my actual 57, which is back down here on the floor. Probably just see it down here. So that's an actual 57. And then we'll do a full review of those, and we'll see if, generates any interest. It's good fun to sort of dabble in a bit of the recording stuff as well. I don't do enough of it. When I first started my channel, I used to do way more of the recording equipment stuff, and I kind of like let go of that for whatever reason. But hey, Steve from Boston, welcome, man. Let's do that. Hope you're well, mate. Hope everything's going well in Boston, and hope your family is safe. Hey, Pedal Pal Effects, welcome as well. Guitar Journey, far out. I wanted to mod someone else before. Where is it? Here we go. It's about time. I don't know why I didn't do this sooner. There you go, Jamal. You're now a mod. So ban everybody. No, just kidding. I cleared out my moderation list a while back, and as I was adding some others, and I realized a lot of people were still active on YouTube. So yeah, I think it just comes in ebbs and flows a bit with who you see. But there's always regulars, and they're the guys that I think I should mod. It definitely helps. And if you don't want to be modded, that's totally fine too. I can turn it off. Let me scroll down. I might grab the PRS out as well. Might be time. That's got to sound great, right? Sorry about that. So if you missed my last video, I actually recorded some new backing tracks with a friend of mine who's a drummer, and I was playing bass for the whole day. It was a lot of fun. You'll see some of those coming up on different videos. So the last one was like 10 things I look for in a guitar or something like that. That had the new one of the new backing track grooves. It was a really fun day. This guitar, man, I tell you. Just feels great. Phil says, do I still have the Harley Benton 50s tally? So I did a video a while back called The Great Guitar Purge of 2020, where I was literally downsizing all of my instruments that I either didn't need or wasn't using. I always find when I've got lesser expensive guitars that are the same as the ones that I've actually invested in, I don't play them much other than on videos. And, I'm in a fortunate enough position where they come to the house from time to time, maybe twice or three times a year or something. I get a couple of guitars sent out. But I got sick of having too much stuff. Like I had to keep getting gig bags and then had to keep getting strings, and it was a nightmare. So good problem to have in a way. So no, I don't. I sold them all. I sold pretty much half of my collection, including some of the Fenders that I had, like the Fender Strat. I sold my Tokai ES335. I had planned on going overseas, and I paid for that, but it's not happening. So most of the money that I sold on guitars went into either my trip or to get cash for the trip. And then some of it will hope, anyway. So yeah, most of the big purge was because of this trip I had planned. I was going to be away for 6 weeks, but that won't be happening this year. if I do a 30-minute lesson, please let us know. Oh, definitely. Yeah. Look, it is on the cards. It's something that I do want to do. I get so many people asking me about like licks and how to approach stuff and all that kind of thing. And yeah, I really feel like it would be a good thing to do, but I need to do it right. And I just want to do it once, at least maybe just to start anyway. Start with some beginner. You know, the video that helped me learn was called Matt Smith, A Beginner's Guide to Blues Guitar. Still one of the best videos out there. It might look really dated and the guy's pretty funny, but you know, I learned that whole video of stuff from start to end, all the licks. You know, a lot of them I can still play now. That Stevie Ray lick that goes like... I remember the day I got that. I was like, oh, man, I worked it out. So, yeah, Matt Smith, Beginner's Guide to Blues Guitar. If you can find that anywhere, give it a look. It's really great. So, yeah, the point was I'd like to do a video similar to that. Like, start it off really basic, have like a beginner's lick lesson, and chords too, because I think a lot of people don't play really. They either play poor rhythm guitar when they're playing live. They don't they're not aware of what's going on around them, or if they're used to playing behind someone a lot, they don't play strong rhythm guitar when they're on their own. So I think that would be a really cool thing to have, like both concepts there. And then you can go out and play with confidence. There's stuff that I didn't get taught, and it wasn't in those videos either. But in terms of just a straight up lick lesson, and basic fundamentals, that Matt Smith one's great. Let me just go down here. Far out. Sorry, the chat is flying along here. What do I think about the Harley Benton FLT? Let me just bring this up because their models get a little bit too confusing to remember them all. Let me have a look. That one. Yeah, it's great. It's a light guitar. It sounds good. The reverse headstock is a bit of a, you know, it gets confusing is the nice way to put it. But yeah, it's really nice. Oh, far out. We've got some super chats. Todd, thank you, man. I appreciate that. Hey, Shane, something different. This is for the food fund. Don't go hungry, mate. Victoria might be in a lockdown in the next 48 hours. You know what? You might be right, mate. It is getting kind of crazy. So thank you. I'm not too sure what the deal is with that, but yeah, we'll see. It's probably we've got another one too. Joe Mack, thank you, mate. No, thanks for supporting the channel. I'm just doing this to keep sane and help keep everybody else a little bit sane. And it's fun. Should have tuned this before. Tune your guitar, man. I'm like, it is in tune. You know, sometimes I tune the guitars before I film every video, right? Like I've got tuners everywhere. There's like 5 just sitting over here. There's guitar tuners everywhere. The problem is once you start filming, like it's cold in here, but if I turn the studio lights on full power, it gets really, really warm, and sometimes it slips out of tune. So, yeah, it sucks. But I try my best to keep the guitars in tune. But thank you, Joe Mack. I appreciate that. Thanks, Todd. I think the problem with lick lessons is, right, like I'm not really known for doing them. So I don't know if doing something like that would be I've tried some in the past, and they didn't really get any views either. So... maybe it was the type of lessons I was putting together. I'll have a think about it and see what I can do. I'd like to just do one big one that, you know, people can use as a reference. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see how we go. Terry, sorry, man, if I didn't say hi. How you doing? Let me just scroll back up here. I gotta... Sonia, everything is good here. Just staying home, watching a lot of In the Blues. That's for Guitar Journey. Can't really dive bomb on this thing. That's about as good as it's going to get, I think. It stays in tune. It's a fun guitar to play. I need to be self-isolated in that room. Yeah, I don't really have that much stuff. I guess I do compared to maybe the average Joe, but compared to a lot of other YouTube guys, I don't. And that's the other thing too. I've never been one to really like just want to keep things in the cupboard. It's not really who I am. I don't like just filling up space with stuff I'm not using. So yeah, I just made the decision to go, you know what, I really need to move a lot of these guitars I'm not using, give them to a good home. And yeah, it was a very liberating experience, putting some of that money into the trip and then the trip not going ahead. That's all good. Sneaking this in at work again. That's awesome, Fat Philosopher. Thanks, man. I hope things aren't too bad in Japan. By the way, I don't know how it is over there at the moment, but I think you're in Japan, right? Lick lesson with Rick and Ryan would be awesome. Yeah, it might be a little while off at this point, but yeah, look, I'll see what I can do. I think that'd be fun too. I always pick bits out of Rick's playing when we get together. I'm like, oh, what's that chord? He goes, oh, that's one of these. Like that A I got from Rick. It's just a really great blues chord, like. Like a little seventh. What's up from Phila? I'm not sure. Is that Philippines, possibly? Man, rocking out in my studio, rock on. That's great. Thanks for joining in, mate. Do I have any acoustic guitars? I've got one of those Journey acoustics, but it's a foldable guitar. It's still in the cupboard up here. It's not a bad little instrument, actually. The only downside of it is the pickup's not very strong. So I've tried it live and it didn't sound good through the PA system. I had to dime everything, and even then it wasn't very good. It sounds fine on its own, which is really cool. Like if you just want a guitar, you can play at home. But yeah, it wasn't the strongest in terms of pickup. It wasn't what I was used to. You know, I had a Maton 325C for a long time, and plugged in, that was really hard to beat. You know, really huge sound. The Journey Instruments guitar, it doesn't come in at that sort of price either, but it doesn't have a good live pickup. It was a passive one, you know, I don't know exactly what, it might be one of those ones that sits in the bridge, like a passive one, so it wasn't, just didn't have any gain, and it was, to get it, when you really turn up the PA system, you just get a lot of hiss, so yeah, it's a bit of a shame, but we'll see how we go. I might get something at some point, acoustic-wise, but I want to make sure I'm getting a guitar I actually love. I don't really enjoy that much in the way of acoustic playing. You know, I can appreciate it, but I don't enjoy listening to it. And I don't enjoy really playing acoustic guitar either. I used to play it a lot more than I do now, and I've gone off it, man. I don't know what it is. I just don't get, for myself, any satisfaction out of playing acoustic guitar. Probably because I suck at it now. We got Music Therapy. Welcome, mate. How you doing? Oh, Philly, PA. Okay, there we go. Sorry, yeah, I'm not sure. You know, it's hard to know. Am I still selling guitars? No, they're all gone, man. So all the ones I was selling, except for one, is gone, which is I'm going to flip that down electro. I don't really think I'll be doing any more of their guitars. The last two, they weren't, well, the Sparkle one in particular wasn't one that I would highly recommend anyone buy. If you're a blues player or a lead player of any description, if you play a lot of like J.J. Cale stuff, like, you know, that really laid back stuff. Not that sounds laid back, but yeah, then you'd be all right. But it's not really a great lead instrument, and I kind of want a guitar that can do everything. JMac619 says, "Hey Shane, I'm an hour late. John from Canada. Do you know anyone here or know of a good non-Apple site for online jamming with others?" I don't know if there. No, I don't really. Like, I haven't really looked into any of that kind of stuff. My suggestion is you might be able to get. The problem with a lot of like webcam services that work online is that you can't talk and hear at the same time. And this is true for Skype and the old Google Hangouts and all that kind of stuff. So if someone's talking and you talk over them, nothing happens. Like they can't hear you and you can't hear them. So there might be some, I don't know if Discord can do something like that, but it'll be audio only. I haven't used it, but I know that's some sort of like voice over IP technology, which is way better than a lot of other sort of services online. Because yeah, if you ever try to chat to someone on Skype and they're talking at the same time, nothing's coming through on either end. So they haven't really worked that out. So yeah, look, that's pretty much the only thing I could think of. But that's, I think, mostly an audio thing. Like I said, I haven't really looked into it, but I've heard a lot of people that do podcasts talking about it. So it might be an option. How's that go? Far out. Must be getting old. I'll let this. Anyway, I won't do that on camera. It's embarrassing. See? Plenty of mistakes. I ordered a Steinberger, only available in black for lefties. Half of all the lefty guitars I have bought have been black. Yeah, that's a huge problem, man. It's black guitars are alright, but as a lefty, it's generally the only thing you see everywhere you go. Yeah, or you see back in the day, it was like the one Mexican standard Telecaster was always in the same one color, that two-tone sunburst or three-tone sunburst. It's like, man, just give me anything else. I'm sure these companies think, oh, we don't sell many lefty guitars. That's because all the lefties already have that one guitar they've been re-releasing for the last 20 years. Greetings from Brazil, from Rodrigo. Welcome, mate. So let me ask you this. We've got people from all over the world here right now. I've been starting to do subtitles on my videos. So I do like Portuguese, Spanish, Danish, Swedish, all kinds of stuff. I haven't been doing it on all of them, but I'm interested to know whether or not anyone actually uses those for any reason. If you're from generally a non-English speaking country. I thought the 84 was one of the best in your collection. All right, so I changed my mind on that. I kept the 84. I really like that, right? So I meant out of some of the new Dan Electros that I tested, I didn't like those anywhere as much as the older ones. So not to say that they're better built or anything like that back in the day, because they're the same, right? But I'm talking from a functionality standpoint. I can get all the way up the neck on that Strat. It feels great to play. The 84 is awesome. But yeah, I didn't really like the fact that the new ones didn't offer the same amount of playability based on their style, right? They're a very different style guitar. It's just, yeah, the 84 is a really great guitar. I am keeping that. It's in the cupboard. Lee Meldrum, the first YouTube channel that I subscribed to was In the Blues. Thank you, Shane. Hey, thanks, Lee. I appreciate that, mate. Could you do a Faith solo for about an hour? Man, you know, I could put on a backing track and jam, but that would require like a setup. I'm not sure I could do that without having to rearrange a few things on my streaming software. That would be cool, because I've actually got a lot of tracks I could just jam to. Absolutely. But yeah, I would need, yeah, that's a great idea. Maybe I'll do that coming up next week or something. That might be kind of fun. Just play blues for an hour. It'd be good practice. Everyone else can jam along. Would you buy 3 guitars or spend the money on a real Les Paul? It just depends, man. It's all dependent on, if buying like a Gibson Les Paul isn't going to be a better guitar than some that are less expensive. But if having the Gibson name means a lot to you, then do it. You can also get like a Les Paul Studio, which is a fine guitar. They're made really well now. Same can't be said maybe 5 years ago. But they're pretty solid instruments. So yeah, I would say it's if you want that Les Paul sound and that's what you've got in the back of your mind, then get it, because you may just end up buying 3 other guitars, like you said, and then going, oh, I should have just got the other one. So just get the other one. Look, I've done that before. I've bought this, then that, and I should have gone, oh, that's the same amount of money or more that I could have just got that one I really wanted. So if it's not going to financially debilitate you, then get the one that you really want. It's a better long-term investment. That's kind of like how I'm looking at things now with guitars. The next Strat I buy at any particular point will be the one that I keep for as long as I'm playing. I don't want to keep buying other guitars that are almost like the one that I want, So not that I'm going to buy a custom shop or anything like that. At least I don't plan on doing that. I'm going to get the equivalent of my Telecaster, which is the original series one, in a Strat. That would be the ideal. And then I'm done. So it might be a couple of $100 more than, say, the one under it. But in my opinion, that would be perfect for me. So it's worth it long term. How often do I change my guitar strings? I used to do it before every gig. And being that I was playing sometimes twice a week for a while there back in the day, or more, actually, sometimes 3 times a week, I went through strings like nobody's business. But if I did gigs back to back where there were like 2 in a row, I'd probably keep the same strings on there. But now I almost change them when they break, or if they feel extremely like really dodgy, like scratchy and whatever else. But I use finger ease all the time. When I do my videos, I use it. I haven't got any on there right now, but generally if I'm playing live, I'll give it a spray. And I find that stuff kind of helps the longevity of the strings. I don't feel like they get as brittle as quickly. So yeah, I got 2 cans on the floor right over here, just out of shot. Do I set up my own guitars? On the most part, I do. Most of the ones that I buy now play great straight off the shelf. Like this, I've done nothing to since I bought it, other than tighten the tuners, as in on the side of these screws are all pretty loose, but the rest of them were fine. My Flying V, I raised the treble side, which is this side, up just a fraction, and it was perfect. And I haven't touched that since. The only things I don't do is usually like heavy mods on a Les Paul. I find them pretty awkward to work in, or a 335, which I don't have anymore. But like when I got the treble bleed mod done, I could have done that myself. Like physically, it's not that hard, but I wanted the switch replaced as well, and getting in there is a nightmare. So I just handballed that off to a shop because I figured it was a lot easier, and I'm glad I did. They did a great job. Just bought a cheap Oscar Schmidt single cut. It just arrived. I spent an hour doing fretwork and a full setup. Sounds really nice. The neck plays like my 59 LP reissue. That's cool, man. Awesome stuff. Which Strat do I fancy, the 50s or the 60s? The 50s one. I've played 2 of the 60s ones. It's weird, like I spoke to Sky Music about getting one in, and there was a miscommunication, and they sold it, right? They sold it to someone else, which is fine. I mean, it doesn't bother me. They do me enough favors anyway with letting me borrow stuff. But I've played a couple of 60s ones since, and I'm thinking, oh, I'll go get a 60s one, because a lot of people love those as well, but I can't get to terms with how the neck feels in my hand. It's not for me. I love that U-shaped neck, which is Fender's largest one. It's really big. And the 50s one's pretty close to that as well, the 50 Strat. I love the visual of it as well. I love the fact that it's got like this sort of translucent white sort of finish on it. The 60s one's kind of like that as well, but not to the same extent. And after playing them both, I really want the 50s one. So I'm either going to hold off until I find that, or I find something very comparable. But as a lefty, there's not much else out there. So they've got another one on order. It'll be 3 or 4 months. And they said, look, try it out when it comes in. We'll hold it for you. If you don't want it, we can sell it easily anyway. So I said, all right, I'll see how we go. That was part of the other reason of getting rid of a lot of guitars, was to try to find the Strat that would last long term, and I'm hoping it happens. Have I bought any? This is from Rick. He says, Shane, have you bought any guitar kits? Can you recommend any? I haven't done that. That'd be something that I'm interested in doing at some point. But no, I know it depends on where you live too, man. It really does. But I would almost suggest just buying a blank body and neck from, or maybe buy the body from eBay, right? Because the wood doesn't really affect it that much. You can argue as much as you want in the comments about that, but save a few bucks, just get a nice looking guitar body on eBay, but buy the parts elsewhere, because some of the kit parts you buy, like the tuners and the pickups, they're not very good, especially if they're inexpensive. Guitar Journey says, have I tried learning some jazz licks? I have. Yeah, there's a few that I've butchered into my playing over the years, and I think some of it is a sort of the T-Bone Walker style stuff too, where then it maybe not strictly jazz licks, but yeah, I went through the 50 lessons, 50 best, what was it, 50 jazz lick lessons. There's a series that it's pretty old on YouTube. I went through a few of those at one point, and let's change the tone. Hang on, let's see what we got here. All right, Blues Deluxe clean. Is that loud enough? It was like yeah, I did learn a few yeah, there we go. Got it. All right. Yeah. So I've learned a few. That took me a while to get that back in my brain. It's a hand-brain coordination thing. I could kind of hear it in my head, but I couldn't, and then I could, and then the hand kind of worked it out. But yeah, there's a few like that. If you go through I can't remember who posted the videos, but they're great. They're like short, sharp jazz lick lessons. You'll find some really cool stuff on there. I used to do this other one. Oh yeah, here we go. Oh yeah, here we go. All right, let's try it again. Get it back in the muscle memory. Yeah, so I'm pretty rough with that, but sometimes I'll throw that in over a shuffle. It works really well. Hey, Brink, thank you, man. Keep it up. Thank you. Thanks for the support, mate. I appreciate that. Did I miss a super chat here? Oh no, sorry. So that was the one about the jazz licks. Thank you, mate. I appreciate that. Yeah, so I think jazz licks work great over blues, and it'll get you out of playing. And the funny thing is, I learnt those licks, but I don't play them like that anymore. So if you listen to the actual lessons, that's how they're played, like better. But the idea is. So that's kind of it. But I might take a part of that now. So I've kind of taken what I've learned out of the lick, and I can apply it to other parts when I feel it will work. And that's the trick to it. So you take these licks, and over time, you forget them, but you turn them into something that works for you with other stuff that you already know. At least that's how it's been for me anyway. I have a hard time playing licks exactly how they're played. There's always an embellishment or or something else that's changed. Maybe the note selection's changed, or, you know, I used to play one lick to death, and I said, I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm going to play it this way. And I made the problem then of playing the one that I forgot was actually a great lick that I was overusing. So I'm trying not to get sort of too stuck with that, especially when I play live anyway. I'm more conscious of what's going on. And I think with blues shuffles in the sort of seventh, and, you know, you got the freedom of playing minor and major. A lot of that chromatic stuff, the notes after notes, all fit in really well. And you know, as you're going up, I almost feel like the blues now is opened up. And I'm not very good at playing it like outside of the box. I'm not saying that at all, but I'm thinking very differently to how I did a few years ago, just by incorporating major and minor stuff and moving sometimes where the keys are moving. You know, Clapton does this really cool thing, and this is what got me going. I'm like, how does this work? You know, his version of Before You Accuse Me, right? He goes, it's sort of like a minor thing, right? A. That is just a really great little major thing over the A. It sort of still works. It's part of the E too, that B.B. King box. But then he goes to the B. There's little things like that don't really fit into the scales. So as you start to hear more of that in your head, you can kind of move things around to really work well with any blues. Same, what a lot of people don't realize, right? Over a slow minor blues, you playing, you know, then you go to a D. Most people will still be here, right? Nothing wrong with that. But you ever try playing over the D minor? Back to A minor. And so follow the chords around and see what you can get to work. What key was it? Yeah. Because you think about it, right? A lot of blues riffs are coming out of the chords. So you can kind of mix things around. Riff-based grooves like that. That was just something I pulled out of my, you know what. But that's a great way of being able to play outside of your straight up one position. So you can take what you learn in the one position and move it around. Not all the notes are going to sound great, but it gives you something different to listen to. So. Anyway, I don't like this clean tone. It shows off too many mistakes. Sonia, thank you. Someone asked if you had any Sims or IRs, or Sim or IR amps that produce really good acoustic guitar tones from electric guitar. Good question. I can't remember off the top of my head if I've actually tried one that really nailed it. I have a feeling I tried what was it? Maybe is it Hot One or Hot Tone? They had an acoustic simulator that worked okay. It was just a little pedal, but it wasn't an amp that really did it on the fly. Yeah, because you want to take your electric guitar and make it sound acoustic. It requires some sort of signal processing. Actually, I tell you what might do it. There's oh no, that didn't do acoustic guitar, I don't think. I used to have this thing, it was like an analog pedal that it could take one type of guitar and turn it into just about anything else. I tell you what, actually, the more, or more, they make this little guitar. What was it called? The GTR, far out. I'm terrible with names today. The tone capture GTR, that's what it's called. Now that thing's actually pretty cool. You can profile a guitar like an acoustic or an electric, plug in your other one, and it sounds very similar to the guitar that you profiled. So that might be the best option. But I don't have any amps that do that straight up, or IRs or anything like that, no. Thank you, Jamal. Appreciate that, mate. And thank you, Sonia. No advertising, no spamming, insults, or racism will be allowed. Absolutely. Yeah. No, I don't put up with that. We're a good community here, so thank you, mods. I do appreciate it. Hagstrom's Super Viking solo was great. Do you have a video on your playing so I can transcribe it? I don't do lessons, man. Sorry, Robert. I just don't enjoy the process at all. Most of the stuff I play is pretty simple. I'm not saying that like everyone's up at the same level of where I'm at or whatever, but most of what I play, I'll give you the heads up. It's either minor pentatonic stuff mixed with major stuff. So if you can learn like a minor pentatonic scale and you move it a few frets back, those combination of notes is a lot of what I'm playing. There are a lot of, actually, there is a bit to it. But if I'm playing blues, I don't really think too much about just straight up scales. I'm thinking more licks, but don't be scared to hit notes that aren't in the minor pentatonic. A lot of that is pretty much what I'm playing over everything. Back to what you were doing a minute ago, playing minor scales over major chords can result in great blues riffs. Absolutely, man. Let's get a good tone, because this clean thing from the jazz earlier is... let's see what we got here. The Marshall DSL Ultra Channel. Dave Simpson's unlocking the video neck is the best I've seen as a novice. Seeing the neck as a whole connected thing. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And there's plenty of ways you can get from one place to another, right? A lot of people don't think... Brick told me this years ago. He goes, oh, do you think across the fretboard or down it? I'm probably more down. Even though there's a couple of connected things I was doing, there's plenty of ways to get around the guitar. And one thing you've seen me do a lot more of over the last 12 months, instead of playing like positions, you'll see me go, up to somewhere else. Using runs up the neck. Even if they're simple, I'm thinking more across the neck now than I've ever thought about it. So yeah, definitely think of it as look at it differently. Look at it across. And the easiest way to sort of get comfortable playing, up the fretboard. I see a lot of guys just do these horrible slides. Don't do that. Just you can use slides to some extent, but don't overuse them, right? So try that again. What key, mate? So yeah, you got the flexibility of playing one string runs, or you can do so much. Minor pentatonic extended scale, which is that if we're in G. That's just one option. I even see coming off the fifth, so into the major stuff. So there's ways to get around the fretboard that aren't just playing position 1 then going to position 4. There's a time for that too, because I still think that sounds really great, digging this tone either. Let's go back. There we go. Bit of royal flush. There we go. A bit of delay. I should save that. So that's my Blues Deluxe with the Royal Flush. John, welcome man. He says, hello everyone, hoping you are all doing well. I'm stuck between working and mum's place, going home to sleep. No guitar for a week. Oh man. That means you'll have to order some online, mate. That's what that means. If you can't play it, order some. Did I decide on another amp? Yeah, the reason I posted that, I kind of felt like there might be something inherently that everyone would love me to be using on the videos. And I wouldn't buy like a big 40 watt or something like that. It'd be 30 or less, which is still loud, right? But I would consider getting something like a 15 or a 20 watt or a 30 watt amp if there's something that, I haven't checked the poll. It got like 300 votes really, really quickly, like within a few minutes. So maybe I'll take a look while we're doing this, because I ran a poll on the feed yesterday, for those who don't know, just saying, what amp would you like to see on the channel? Not that I'm really like overly keen on buying a new amp, but I was interested to see whether or not people were like bored of the Fender or the Marshall. Fender I've been using a lot with mics lately, man, and pedals. Oh, wait till you hear those videos. They're coming up. Just unbelievable tones. So, well, I like it. That's the main thing. It sounds way fuller than using this setup here, but all right. So we've had 800 votes, 856 votes. So I said, which valve tube amplifier would you like to see alongside my Fender or Marshall and artist for future videos? PV Delta Blues or Classic 30 got 27%. Fender Princeton or Deluxe Reverb got 43%, which is interesting because I had two of those at one point. Marshall Bass Breaker or similar got 15%. I'm probably not going to buy the Bass Breaker. I just thought I'd throw that in there just to see what everybody would say. And other got 14%. So I'll scroll down here and take a look. So Deluxe, hang on. Let's see if there's any. I'd like to see a Classic 30, Vox AC30, which I've had one of those in the past. I probably wouldn't buy an AC30. I'd probably get a 15. The AC30s are great, but they take up way too much space and they're impossible to lift. The Bass Breaker is from Fender, is it? Oh, maybe I'm getting confused. It's only fair you have a Vox. So yeah, people are talking about Friedman as well. I don't think I'd buy a Friedman amp, to be honest. I don't think they're that much better sounding than a Marshall. And you are paying a whole lot more for them. I think they're okay. Like Rick's got one. He's got one that's pretty big sounding for rock and roll players, but yeah, it's not really the sound I kind of look for. So we'll see how we go. There might be an opportunity opening up for something to grab cheap at some point. Welcome, Joe. Yeah, the Kemper's great for recording. It really is. Like, for doing this or recording an album where you want consistency, it really is hard to beat. And it gives you every tone you would have in your collection of stuff all at the touch of a button. I think the 2 notes is probably the best for someone who only has a couple of amps, because you can just use that, but and your pedals and whatever else. But the Kemper is pretty cool. If you don't care about the weight, which should I go with, a Fender Quad or DSL? I've had I don't know what the Quad is, but if you're talking about like a Super Reverb, for example, it's lighter than the Marshall. Look, the Fender Super Reverb, it was probably the best sounding amp I ever had at a certain volume. And then I found like it would max out. At home, it's loud, right? But if you're playing live and you're tucked away in the corner of a pub, sometimes it wasn't loud enough. I always felt like it was getting too squishy, and that was my concern with one of the reasons why certain small amps like a Princeton they're amazing at certain volumes, right? But you get them up at a jam, and all of a sudden you're like, all I'm getting is distortion, and not the kind of cool distortion you want. It's just you got no headroom basically. So the Super Reverb is like the best sounding clean amp I've ever played, but it doesn't cut it in the live mix. I would almost say that the DSL 40, even though it's only got the one speaker, would have more clean headroom than an amp, and it tends to handle the pedals better, which is crazy because Super Reverbs are amazing amps, right? So I ended up selling mine. I didn't probably need to get rid of it at that point in time, but I found like I was using my smaller combos more. So Blues Deluxe with the Swamp Thing gives me in my opinion, way more clean headroom. That Marshall, man, is the best amp I've probably ever owned, all up. Like, it does everything really well. What do I prefer to noodle on, the PRS or Tokai? Both. Really, like, I think this is probably the most fun guitar, just based on the whammy bar, which I don't use a lot in my playing, but yeah. But the Tokai, since I've had that treble bleed mod put in there, man, it's great. Craig says, I'm in love with my Blues Deluxe with the Swamp Thing. I got it because of you. It's a great home amp because it sounds so rich at low levels, low volumes. I love my Princeton too, but I play the Blues Deluxe reissue more. Cool. Yeah, that 6L6 thing is hard to beat, hey? The big full sound thing, it totally rocks. Guitar Hack says he loves his DSL 40. Man, great amps. Just, as a gigging amplifier, just unreal. So that's the difference. You take the Marshall out and say your power supply on your pedal board dies. You've got like the best drive channel ever. And you've got a great clean channel. It handles pedals well. It handles pedals just as well as the Fender, just differently. They got a different sort of vibe to them. And Guitar Hack was the guy who said, give it a go with pedals, because I wasn't using it with anything other than a delay in the effects loop. And he's right. It handles pedals extremely well. Do I still rate Blues Juniors? I think they're really good. If you're going to buy one, if you haven't already got one, I would say go for the newest one, the version 4s or whatever they're up to. The new speakers they're putting in there, the A-type ones from Celestion are really good. So, yeah, highly recommend that. Let me just scroll up. Good night, guys. Stay safe. Thanks, Paddle Room. Thanks. What time is it where everybody is? So right here, it's 12:41 p.m. Which means I've been going for nearly 2 hours. Far out. Where's the time go? That's crazy. I haven't even had lunch. Oh, it's still not really that late here yet, but I just realized, I haven't really eaten today. I guess energy drinks count as food, right? That's nutritious. We've got 9:40 p.m. in the US, or Canada, sorry, Guitar Hack. Fat Philosopher, 10:41 a.m. So, yeah, that's Japan. London, 1:40 a.m. Cool. It's 2:04 a.m. where you are, Guitar Journey. Where are you from again? Sorry, mate, I must have missed that. You must be in the UK, right? Is that what you said? Cool. 12:11 in Adelaide. Oh yeah, Adelaide's half an hour behind, isn't it? I forgot about that. Norwegian. That's right. Sorry, dude. I should have realized. Yeah, my memory's not always great for that stuff. Yeah, absolutely. Ah. You see Kafir's version of he did like this metal version of it. It's pretty cool. If you haven't seen it, go check out Kafir O's channel. It's KFIRO. Kafir, and then his last name starts with O. Where did I get the pictures on the wall? So I did a video about this a while back. I just get them printed. I find them on Google Images, and I get them printed at my local office supply shop. They're ones you can't buy. They're just like band posters and venue posters and all that kind of stuff, and fan art and all that kind of thing. So, yeah, if you type in Google Images, just look up whoever you want to get a poster of. I got the middle row laminated. Some of them are high gloss, which I don't recommend if you're going to be filming, but yeah, like that orange one in the middle here, it's just, you can't see anything. This is the reflections are so bad. So I'm going to get more of them laminated in matte finish coming up. Anyone see the interview with Knopfler talking about how he started playing? It's an old video on YouTube, but it's a great one. Yeah, absolutely. I think I've watched pretty much every Knopfler video on YouTube. Yeah, he's a dude and a half. There's a really funny interview he did with this some news show in the US or something like that, where he's in the UK, sorry, where he's talking about his acoustic guitar sort of style. He's approach to playing acoustic guitar, like his style, and he's talking about like his finger picking technique and how he never followed the books, and he's like got his thumb below his actual fingers. If you watch him play, like his thumb's picking, say, the G, where he's picking up on the D string with his fingers here. So it's a bit weird, right? Like his style is a bit strange, but it sounds amazing. I love it. It's like one of my favorite guitar players ever. And he's like, oh, you know, broke all the rules. And, you know, he was an older dude when he was doing this interview. And the old news reporter lady's like, oh, you know, oh, you're a total rebel. You know, like, because no one understands what he's talking about apart from guitar players. But, yeah, there's some really great Knopfler interviews out there. I love watching him play. I love his new stuff, too. You know, his newer stuff. Boom Like That is just one of my favorite songs from some of his new stuff. His last album had some really great songs on it as well. He's done some blues albums. You know, just a tasty player, man. Just awesome stuff. What model is the Pre? I don't know what that means, sorry. What about the Boss Craft Air headphones coming out? You know what? I haven't tried those myself. There's usually like lots and lots of promo of that stuff going up. All the Boss stuff that comes out, just all of a sudden there's lots. So I probably, if I do it, it'll be a bit later on, I think, because I'm pretty sure there's a lot of videos out there already. But I think what the plan is with those is as you turn your head, it's supposed to kind of emulate that of an amp being behind you. So, you know, if you turn your head this way, you're hearing it more out of your right side. You're sitting like this, you're hearing it equal. So I like the idea there, but I haven't actually tried them myself. Sorry I can't donate any more money, but rock on. Hey, thanks, Guitar Journey. Man, you don't have to do that, guys. Seriously, like, this helps me as much as it, you know, might be time filler for you guys too. So it's all good. Doing something and hanging out is fun. So thanks. I don't ask for donations on the channel, man. I have not once done that. So yeah, thank you. Thank you. I do appreciate it. But seriously, just hanging out is fine too. You can, yeah, that's plenty cool. Let me just see how many folks we got watching. Let's have a look here. What do we got? Wow, 174. This that's crazy. Thank you. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. I appreciate it. Yeah, Knopfler is just one of those guys that continues to impress me. You know, I know his chops aren't what they were when he was a younger guy, right? And that's just inherent of getting older. A lot of guys lose their chops. but it doesn't stop his musicality and just his vibe. Like his music is great. You know, the album he did with Emmylou Harris, I really love too. It's just plenty of good stuff. Lots of different flavors. Look, he does that traditional sort of, I guess, Celtic kind of music. I'm not a big fan of that, but just about everything else he does, it's just great. You know, it's so close to JJ's stuff in many ways. JJ Cale. I'm not talking about how much of a virtuoso Knopfler is on guitar, because he's played with Chet Atkins, he's played with everybody. Was a monster and is still a great musician and great guitar player. But I mean, just in terms of his musical vibe, it's, you know, that influence is clearly there now. As he's getting older, he's more laid back, and it's great. Like, really cool stuff. I think that's the trick. When you can write a great song without having it full of guitar parts, you're doing all right. So, yeah, thanks again, Guitar Journey. I appreciate that, mate. Thank you, David. I appreciate that. Shane's a cool cat. Thanks, man. Devin says, tips on choosing online guitar lessons. Any recommendations? If you want to play blues, just go to Texas Blues Alley. I don't get kickbacks for saying that or anything, but he's a great guy. Anthony's an awesome dude. And I'm sure he'll have the most comprehensive sort of lessons out there on that. And if you want to learn to rock and shred, go to Robert Baker. Robert's an awesome guy. How he is online is how he is offline. He's a lovely, lovely guy. So, look, I haven't tried them all either, but I just know, based on what I've seen of them on YouTube, that they know what they're talking about. So, yeah. Hey Shane, I just got the Marshall DSL 40CR and can't help but notice that the crunch channel is a bit fizzy. Did I ever notice that with your DSL? The trick to getting the best sound out of that amp, it's got two master volumes on the right-hand side. Run them at 10. Sorted. Fizziness comes from not opening up the power amp properly. So run the master volumes all the way up. Turn the channel volume up to about 1 o'clock, and then bring the gain up, and it will sound like the gods. I get no fizz out of my amp. And I'm assuming you're probably getting it because you've got... look, if you bought an older Marshall that isn't the CR model, some of those can be fizzy. Like the prior model I didn't like to mine. The ones before that were great, but there was 1 year where they didn't sound very good. But the... I get no fizz. It's like the fattest, fullest sounding amp I've pretty much ever had, alongside, you know, some of these other high watt, 40 watt sort of Fender amps. Are you a fan of Greg Koch? He's finally started to get recognized for how talented he truly is. Absolutely, yeah. I met him years ago. He's a giant. He's such a tall guy. Really nice dude too. Phenomenal player. Like, no questions about it. Has to be one of the best, you know, globally. That guy is insanely great. Have I ever played a PV Envoy? They're the small ones, right? I think I've tested one at a shop once. Let me just have a look. I want to make sure I've got the right one. Oh, sorry, that's loud. It's the compressor kicking in. Yeah, I have played a few of these before. Look, they're all right for just home use. I always recommend getting any practice amp that has a bit of reverb in there. That's, you know, it might not be a deal break for players who have been playing a long time, but if you're new at it and you just want to get something small, get anything with some reverb, and it'll be a fine little amp for home. I'm pretty sure that some of those models do have it and some might not. That's the PRS Custom 24, it is, yeah. Sorry if I missed a question from Bad Thad. Oh, okay, what model is that? Yeah, Custom 24. Someone asked earlier too, is it a bolt-on neck? It's not. I almost kind of wish it was, in a way, because, you know, if I'm ever going to be able to travel it again at some point, I wouldn't mind actually taking a guitar with me or bringing one back. So, yeah, having the bolt-on neck can be an advantage if you're traveling. I came back from the States once with a classic vibe, and I just unbolted the neck, put it in my suitcase, wrapped it up in a top, wrapped the body up, wrapped the neck up in some jeans or something like that, through the leg, and That was it. So nice. You can't really do that with this. You got to have like it on a bag or something like that. ZZ Top movie on Netflix wasn't bad. Cool. I didn't know there was one. That's awesome. Yeah, Kirk Fletcher's a great player, man. He comes to Australia quite a lot. Or he did before all of this stuff started. I think that noise gate's on here. Let's back this off a bit. Yeah, that's better. Far out. Thoughts on the Moog Lab Series L5, the BB King amp? I'm thinking about buying one. You know what? I haven't tried one. So I'm not too sure. Yeah. I tell you what, an easier amp to find might be the one that Chris Kane plays over here. Plays a Music Man RD50. It's got a solid state preamp section, which is not a bad thing, and it's got a valve power section, and they're unreal. So if you have trouble finding that, or they're a bit sort of rich in terms of their price, I don't know how much they go for, check out the Music Man RD50s. Killer amps, man. They're so good. That would be the one amp I'd love to buy at some point, you know, the RD50. I'd like to get a good one. You just plug in and go. It's pretty cool. My favorite live performances, outage videos, one Led Zeppelin, Danny Gaston, maybe Gatton, is it? Beer Bottle Slide, Led Zeppelin, Achilles. Yeah, I haven't listened to a lot of Led Zeppelin stuff, you know. I like the music. I'm just not a big fan of his vocal. I know that's going to be like sacrilegious to rock and rollers, but I can't listen to him. I just don't get that vocal at all. Yeah, I need to listen to some good stuff, because from Led Zeppelin, I've heard all the hits. I've heard them to death. Maybe that's what it is too. I've heard a lot of it over the years, but yeah, a lot of people say, no, you need to listen to this Led Zeppelin album and then you'll get it. So let me know which one I should be listening to. Best live video, Gary Moore on an Evening of Blues with Albert King and Albert Collins. Oh, that's a great, that bloody live show is awesome. You know, the one with Albert Collins he did was, I'll never forget it, man. Like Gary Moore's like slaying away, you know, just ripping it up with heaps of distortion, and the crowd's, you know, getting into it, and Albert Collins goes, and he just lets this note go for a while, and everyone just goes, yeah. He played three notes, and that was the effect Clapton had, you know. Same thing. Like I think they had Gary Moore sitting in with some other band with, it might have even been like a Cream sort of show or something, and Gary Moore's like killing it on guitar. I love his stuff, right? So this isn't to belittle him. And then Clapton gets up and plays something very simple, and people just went crazy. You know, I think Jack Bruce was talking about that. He goes, you know, and Clapton was talking about it, I think, as well, where that he's just like, people connect as sometimes the simple things rather than the guitar players might love the shreddy stuff, but the general audience will love the stuff that they can relate to, and that's why B.B. King did so well, and Clapton and all those guys. I mean, Clapton's was a killer player, right? So, but it was probably a little more relatable than some of the, you know, some of the shredders to the general audience. He was one of those few guys that kind of bridged the gap, a bit like Knopfler too. Although his stuff wasn't as simple, it's melodic, and that kind of works. You know, you think about all those the songs that I don't really like, but all that sort of stuff, you know. Since I've been loving your solo, JP best ever, cool. Roy Orbison, man. Yeah, we're talking about this the other live stream. You know, I'm on this Tom Petty sort of binge listening thing at the moment. I'm really digging it. It makes you feel good. You put it on, it's just like, this is cool. I like that feeling. My favorite live videos, hands down, Stevie Ray Vaughan at Al Macombo. I got that on DVD. Remember those things? You used to put them in a tray and they went into your television. or into your player, I should say. That's all I got. Very underrated blues track album from Zeppelin is T for One. Okay, cool. All right, thanks. Let me have a look at that. I've heard some. Yeah, I'll have to make a note of that. Thank you. Let's copy this. All right. Old Love with Clapton and Robert Cray. That's a great song, man. That is really good. Thanks, Fat Philosopher. Thanks, man. Take it easy, and thanks for the super chat as well, mate. All the best. For home recording, Kemper or aux plus amps. Yeah, we were talking about this before. If you're going to be doing a lot of tracking for albums, get a Kemper. If you're going to be playing or tracking and you've only got, say, the two notes and aux are pretty much the same type of thing. They've both got their advantages. I think as a live tool, if you're ever going to be playing live, I would buy the two notes over the Kemper, because then you can just take your amp and plug it in and have everything on the floor like you would normally with pedals. If you are a pedal guy, I would go for the aux/two notes torpedo over the Kemper. But if you just want to get just the amp tones, see the thing with the Kemper though, which is great, I've profiled my amps with pedals in front, going into the front end, so you can get that as well. So yeah, it just depends. If you want to keep it simple, go for the aux or go for the two notes. The Kemper's great if you're going to be doing a lot of home recording. It's pretty unrivaled almost, in my opinion, because you can take. It's not trying to. You can actually essentially just take all of your different combinations of gear and set it up on the Kemper, and then there you go. That's the sound you get. You don't have to set anything else up. If that's important to you, like productivity wise, maybe the Kemper's the way to go. I like them both. I really feel like the flexibility of the two notes is pretty much. It has an advantage over the Kemper because I can just go in there and change the microphones. I might want a different mic combination and I want one at the back, and you get very different sounds like that. So it has some advantages to it as well. So yeah, I actually wrote a full article. It's like 2,000 something words at guitarpedaldemos.com if you want to know my thoughts about both of those in more detail. But check it out. They're both great. I don't think you'd be too disappointed with either. But the thing with the Kemper, you need to profile. You can get third party, whatever they call profiles for it, right, from other people. But that doesn't really make it that. That's not why I would. Oh, what's this? That's not why. That's weird. That's not why I would buy it. I would buy it to profile and get my own sound, right? So, yeah. Do I use thin picks? No. 2.6 millimeter chicken picks. This is the first one they ever sent out, and then I ended up buying some more. Yeah. I used to play 1 millimeter Jim Dunlops with the black stuff on the sides, the grip, the nylon ones, but yeah, these are my favorite. Am I still going? Hey, Neil, welcome, man. Yeah, why not? I got the energy drink. I'm good. Have you ever tried Damasio's? Nah, they're not my sort of thing, man. Like, Damasio's don't really scream like blues tones to my sort of ear or whatever. But the thing with them is they're good pickups, right? So if you like playing with a bit more gain, or you want to try and get like a hotter, sort of more overwound sound in a Strat, for example, go for it. I just don't It's not a brand of pickup that I've gone for in any of my guitars. Have I tried Bias Effects? Yeah, I did a video a few years back of one of their first releases of, it was like amps basically, and I had a lot of latency issues with it in the end. I don't know what happened. Like, I upgraded my computer and I could never get it to work properly. I have a feeling it was also the software I was trying to use with it. I've got really dated digital audio workstation software that I used to record. I think that's the problem. I need to try it with Reaper, which I just recently got as well. So I'm probably going to make the transition over to Reaper from Nuendo, which I've been using for like 10 or 12 years or something crazy. So yeah, Bias, that stuff's pretty cool. I can't really say too much bad about it. I just feel like their amp package needed a few more things in it. Now, looking in hindsight, like it needed some reverbs more than just the room one. And maybe it's been updated since then, but and it also just needed a couple of options for some effects, delays, just give me something. I think the one that Steve from Boston uses is probably the best sounding one I've ever used. TH3 or whatever it's called. I could be wrong about that, but I used it last time we were hanging out in Germany, and it was like, he had the best setup. You put your headphones on, it sounded unreal. So yeah, very cool. And I mean, you hear it on his live streams. It sounds great. It really does. Any tips for building up speed for faster SRV or Hendrix licks? I think the trick with playing things fast is to try to keep loose. I mean, I can't play fast, right? But I know if I'm doing a gig and I'm nervous, I tend to sort of, which doesn't happen that much anymore, but if I haven't played for a while and all of a sudden I'm thrown into play, I know my hands are really tense. I think people over tension their, or over tense, I should say, the hand that's on the guitar. So for most of you guys, it'll be your left hand. But I think keeping loose is important, especially even rhythmically with your left hand, right? You don't want to play like that. You want to kind of have a real loose. You want to have sort of like a really loose approach with your rhythm. You don't need to hit the guitar that hard. I mean, you can, but it doesn't really, it's going to change, the way that it's sort of, the flexibility of your wrist. So I sort of feel the same about the stuff I can play fast. When I'm playing tense, it's a whole lot harder. When I'm loose, I can kind of do it easier. So you just got to try to build it up slowly. Just start at any speed until you get your muscle memory in there. So, and then there's also a picking thing that works too. Like a lot of blues guys will only do down notes, down strums or whatever, down picks. You can play down up in the time you can play down down. Versus. So yeah, think about it like that too. Maybe you're not picking the most efficiently. Anyway. Sorry, let me just go back up. I missed a few questions here. When I want to sound like John Mayer, I use my fingers, and then I sound nothing like him. Yeah, it's all in the hands, man. That's the whole Knopfler thing, as well. Where is it? Can't play like that. I can't really remember how that goes. TH3, but now THU. Okay, cool. THU, is that what it's called? Got to roll. Have a good night. Thanks, homeboy. I appreciate that. Someone asked me... so Casey says, I maxed out all my credit cards buying guitars, so I cut them all up for picks. That's awesome. Yeah, credit cards are bad, man. I've learned over the years, use them only as a necessity. And Yeah, I was bad with them for a while too, but I'm not anymore. I hardly use it. The only time I use it is if I really have to, and then I make sure whatever I buy, I pay back as soon as I get home. Move some money across, otherwise I don't use it. What video editing software do I use? So for this, I'm just using OBS, Open Broadcaster software. On my Mac, I'm using Final Cut Pro. I made the move over to Mac maybe 3 years ago or something like that. It was an absolute lifesaver in terms of time, productivity, and just reliability in terms of not crashing and just the hardware talking to the software. It's all optimized. It was just a breath of fresh air. Since then, though, like, you know, you could build a really great AMD Ryzen or Intel PC with something like DaVinci Resolve, which would be fairly time efficient. But the problem is now I've bought into Final Cut. I've spent maybe $2,000 on plugins. This is not all at once, right? This is over the course of years. So I might spend like a couple $100 a year on, or $300 or something like that on plugins, you know, title effects and transitions and stuff. And yeah, so I've kind of bought into that program now. And the great thing about it over a lot of other software is if I buy another Mac, I can either just transfer it all over or the license valid is on as many computers as I buy. I don't have to keep buying a license, or there's no monthly subscriptions or anything like that. So long term for me, I'm going to stick with it. I don't really foresee myself changing out of Mac for video editing. It's just the screen's beautiful. And it's just it was so much faster. It used to take me an hour to render a video. I remember the first video I rendered on the Mac. This was when I was just doing HD. It took me under 1 minute. It was 60 times faster. So, yeah. Yeah, but now it's not quite, the difference isn't that extreme. But if you look at the benchmarks on comparable computers, Final Cut is generally the most efficient, followed by DaVinci Resolve, followed by Adobe Premiere. And for me, time efficiency is what I look for the most. Hi from Argentina. What kind of modifications should I do to acquire affinity for a fat blues tone? Buy a great amp. Yep, the amp is where it's at. You know, hand me any guitar, SX or whatever, and plug it through one of these amps. It's going to sound great. There are some considerations. Some pickups will squeal if you use too much gain. Some inexpensive pickups. Sometimes expensive pickups can do that too, but it comes down to the playing through any cheap guitar will generally sound great through a great amp. If you take a $5,000 custom shop Gibson or Strat and you plug it through a piece of junk, it's going to sound like a piece of junk. So put more money into the amp. Long term, it's definitely the way to go. Ever tried Jazzmaster? I have. I did a video of one maybe 3 months back. It was good. It was really good. I had never played one up until that point, and I had gas for a good couple of weeks after that. Build your own dream guitar, i.e. parts caster, or buy one from the manufacturer. Look, if you're one of those guys who loves to put stuff together, there's absolutely nothing wrong with doing that. I know me personally, I got too many distractions. Well, not that many distractions, but I got enough distractions where I would just rather find the right guitar and have it look the way that I want it to look and feel and play and sound without having to do it all myself. I'd rather put the time into something else. But not to say there's anything wrong with doing that. I totally commend anyone who can build guitars and put them together for themselves. But I couldn't build a guitar like this. And this is a budget PRS, I guess you would call it, right? No matter how much I personally would try, I wouldn't be able to make a guitar that plays as well as this or looks as good, or whether you like Tramp Screen or not. But you know what I'm saying? Like, for me, it's not going to happen. I'd rather leave that to someone who knows what they're doing. But if you're into it and you're good with that kind of stuff, like my friend actually built a really nice couple of guitars on his first few goes. But I think he's more creative in that way than what I am. So, and just better at it. So yeah, for me, I wouldn't mind trying a parts thing at some point, but I know already it wouldn't be visually or maybe even as nice to play as some of the ones that I could just buy off the shelf. Did you say we're doing a video on specs for computer use for music and video? Yeah, so this Saturday, I'm going to do it as a live premiere. I think it's Saturday. So what is that, tomorrow now? Day is it here? Friday? I'm losing track of time now, I'm inside. Friday, yeah. So tomorrow morning, I've got a full setup on everything you'll need to get started with home recording. The video took me like 9 hours. So, yeah, I tried to cover as much stuff as I could in there. Hopefully it's helpful if you're thinking about recording at home. I'm going to do another one maybe down the track about video editing and YouTube setup for what I'm using. I do them about once every 2 years. It's been a while. But yeah, there's going to be a couple of things changed in that thought process and video than I had on my last one. So, hey, Hutch. All right, you're absolutely right. Switch for a Mac for the same reason, and the speed difference is amazing. Yeah, because I was a PC guy for so many years, I built my own computers since as long as I can remember. It was hard to spend more money on a Mac that didn't have the same specs, and that's what got me. I really felt like, I'm buying a computer that's subpar to what I could build. That was I'm like, this sucks. And as soon as I did my first video and I learned how to use that program, I was like, something went wrong. Why is it outputted the file in 60 seconds? It's like, do it again. Did it again. Press play. Oh, the full video is there. What? I was waiting an hour. And given my hardware back then was older, right, as well, but I still had an Intel i7 and 16 gig of RAM and hyper-threading and all this kind of stuff. It wasn't even close. It just wasn't even close to the i5 with the Mac specs because they build they write the software to work with the hardware. It's optimized. The problem with PCs is there's so many variables these days and parts that it's hard for software companies to write really efficient hardware, software for all hardware. So yeah, it's just, I don't even waste my time anymore. And the next computer I buy, sadly, would be a Mac, and I hate having to spend that much money on a computer. But my other one's getting to the point where it needs to be replaced, and yeah, it's expensive, but it's one of those things that kind of, it just long term it just works. Yeah, in here I'm using a PC. It's been great for audio, and I highly recommend just getting a PC for audio. If you've got a Mac for audio, that's great too. But yeah, the video about audio mixing and stuff or recording will be up tomorrow. It covers most of the things I thought about, over the last sort of 5 years. Any thoughts on the Fender HM Strat? Let's just, you know what? I just want to look it up. I can't remember what HM stands for. Oh, okay. Wow. They're very pink. Is that it? Really, the Fender? Wow. I don't know if I can share this without sharing a whole lot of crap on my desktop here, unfortunately, but yeah, not my sort of style of guitar. It's got a Floyd Rose and all that kind of thing, but I guess if you're into it, go for it. Like, this is the great thing about choosing a guitar. Most people just want to go for what they like. So if you're into that and you want to go for it. Nothing wrong with that at all. Yeah, it's not really my type of guitar, judging by what I've just seen. Hot Pink and Floyd Rose. That's hilarious. I agree. Most people pay less for their amp than the guitar. Yeah, absolutely, man. The amp is the most important factor when you're playing live. Really, other than being able to, play, probably number one. But yeah, a great player through a crap amp is going to sound not very good. A great player through a good amp is going to sound great, and a great player through a great amp is going to sound even better. Have I made a video about what order to run your effects into? I have ages ago. I thought about doing a pedal board update video. It's been a long time. Not a lot's changed either, which is interesting. Do I shred a lot? I cannot shred to save myself. I can fake shred where I just hit random notes as quickly as I can, but that doesn't work so well. Do you think I'll get a chance to play the Fender Broadcaster reissue? I'd love to. I don't think there's a lefty in the Fender Broadcaster reissues, but if I get to Sky Music with Rick at some point and there's one there, I'll give it a go. Oh, he'll give it a go, or I'll ask him to at least anyway. My PC was a gaming PC too with 16 gig of RAM. Well, most gaming PCs, if you've got a gaming PC, you'll have no problems doing any recording. You know, the great thing about it, home recording, is you don't really need anything too elaborate anymore. The specs are great. All you need is a good multi-core CPU. But I get into that more tomorrow on that video, and I'll schedule it up about an hour beforehand as a premiere. I think it'll be pretty helpful. Is anyone having shipping issues from guitar companies or stores? Yeah, look, courier companies are getting slammed. So most of the problems are, I think, from that. A lot of shops are closing down too for a while, or they're only open by organizing it beforehand. So yeah, there's a lot of holdups at the moment. You know, I got an order of these 2 microphones I showed earlier. Excuse me, I paid for them and had them sent out, and in 2 days they were here. So I feel like the courier companies are putting on a lot more staff. I was shocked actually how quickly it turned up. In the blues, I think you'd be satisfied with a high-end AMD Ryzen like the 3800X. Yeah, you're right. I'm a full-blown computer nerd, right? So you're absolutely right. If I was to build a new Ryzen computer with a much better, I've only got a 1060 in my, I think it's a 1060 or 1050 graphics card in my computer. It would be much better than what I've already got. But for video editing, it's also very software dependent. And it's one thing to sort of talk about specs, and then there's that real world application of how well can you scrub through the timeline? If you zoom into a project, does it glitch when you're playing it back? There's all these other factors that some software doesn't handle that very well. And you're probably right. Like I could move over to DaVinci Resolve and build myself a killer PC. But if I did that, the price would still be fairly high. I wouldn't have the same nice screen. And I've already invested in the software, right? So I don't want to have to reinvest into more software and more plugins. It doesn't make sense for me. So I'm kind of stuck. I could probably build myself like a fake Mac, like one of those Hackintosh ones, but there's inherent issues with that. I don't really want to waste time with it anymore. It's just easy to go get one that works. I don't have to worry about it. I can mirror my current hard drive and dump it on the new one and then just start working. So yeah, there's other factors there. I just want something that saves space as well. You know, the old computer boxes, they do the job, but they're not the prettiest things in the world. But if something goes wrong, they're much easier to fix. And that's kind of what kills me about the Mac stuff. Anyway, I got a Marshall Origin 50. Cool. And going to a 2-notes Cab M and 2-notes Captor. Then into my Focusrite Scarlett. Into my computer JBL monitors. That gives me full 50 watts headroom, bedroom levels. That's great. That's really cool. So yeah, I do the same type of thing. On most of my pedal videos, I use the Blues Deluxe or the Marshall going into the 2-notes Torpedo. Usually if I'm doing any guitar videos now, I'm using the actual amps. And just about most of the tones you've heard in the last few months, I guess now, with the exception of any pedal videos, would have all been through just the amp on their own. The problem is when you're recording with a really loud amp in the room and you're doing a pedal video, it's really hard to hear back the track you're trying to jam to. So that's why the 2-notes is the best version of that. I can't hear a difference. You know, I did a video about that a while back where I compared the Kemper, for example, versus the actual amp recorded tone after I profiled my own gear. It's pretty hard to tell. And the two notes is like that as well. I can spend all day miking up my amps and getting the sound, and I can plug into the two notes in 3 seconds and get the same kind of vibe minus the sustain. David says, I'm super excited because Sweetwater started carrying G now. Oh, okay, cool. Very cool. I use Google Podcast to listen to your podcast show, but there seems to be 2 different accounts. One with your logo and one that's pinkish. That's interesting. I'm not too sure what that means. Could you email me what you're looking at intheblues@outlook.com if you don't mind? Thanks, man. I'm not sure what that means. If there's an issue with the feed or someone else is mirroring it or something, I'm not too sure. That's kind of strange. But, yeah. I don't... There should only be one feed, to my knowledge, anyway. So if you go to inthebluespodcast.com, it's there. And then that pushes out to... I think what happened was I used to host them all on my old website, which was guitarpedaldemos.com, which has turned into strictly a review site now. So I don't really know what you mean. If you could take a screen capture and send it to that email address, that'd be awesome, man. Thank you. I've never used Google Podcasts either. I've always just used iTunes or whatever. So, yeah. Channel logo doesn't seem to have been updated in a while. Okay. Maybe it's still seeing my old feed as well. If you could just send me a screen capture or a link to where you see that or something like that, that'd be great. That way I can fix it straight away. Yeah, well, there you go. That's Craig says computers are like guitars. Use whatever works for you. Absolutely. Yeah, I'm not brand snobby when it comes to stuff. Like I said, I've been building my own computers for years. And I think if you're an audio guy, it makes more sense to use... You can get a cheap PC for nothing that will do it, right? So, yeah. I was in Aussie in Canada until a few days ago, and I hightailed it back. Yeah, there's a few guys I know that have been coming home because of this stuff, and yeah, you probably have to quarantine yourself for a while too. Do I know any guitar theory? I'm trying to learn it, but 50 years of on and off playing, not very easy. I do. I've learned it kind of like inadvertently in a way. I don't think I know. I think I know more than I think I know. If that makes sense. So how I see the guitar isn't probably how someone who teaches guitar would look at it. But I understand concepts and ideas through experience now that I'm sure there's sometimes people say stuff and a light bulb goes off. I'm like, why didn't I even think of this before? Like it was staring me in the face. I think that's when the theory stuff can really help you. Or if you're, in a situation where you're, reading off sheets or whatever, that's, really practical stuff to know. But the kind of music I play, mostly original stuff and also kind of blues mostly, I can get away with it. Over time, I keep adding to the bag, and I was talking a bit about this before, like moving with some of the chords or moving around with the major and minor stuff a bit. There's probably more technical reasons why that works, and there's probably an explanation or a term for that, but I don't need it because maybe I do, but I can make it work based on my understanding that makes sense to me about it. And sometimes you can overcomplicate stuff by trying to soak in someone else's interpretation of it, or not having it explained in a way that makes sense. A while back, there's just been some light bulb moments that have I've gone, oh, wow, yeah, I never thought of that before, but the technical explanation doesn't help me if there's a good practical one for it as well. So yeah, everyone's different too. So there's no right or wrong with that. But yeah, sometimes try not to overcomplicate it. I would say if you've already got the connection to be able to sing and play what you have in your head, then maybe learning some theory is good. And if you can't do that, I would really just drill in, learn to hum along with your playing, and that will help you understand more concepts as they're thrown at you. At least that's my understanding of it. Jamal says 155 thumbs up. Thanks everyone for the showing some love. Thanks Jamal. Cheers, man. Far out. So yeah, 151 people here. 150. Wow, far out. Huge thanks for the Fender Champion 100 review. It got me one off the back. I got one off the back of that. Great amp. Also got my first ever Gibson Les Paul. What a sound. Keep up the fantastic reviews. Thanks, Al. Appreciate that, mate. Cheers. Have I played through the Lucas Miles amps? I haven't. I know they make good stuff. I was talking a bit about this before. Like, I feel like a lot of Australia's amp builders are just cloning other amps, and that doesn't interest me that much. I'm sure they sound great, and I've seen some videos of them online, but I'm not overly interested anymore doing like Australian amp clones. Like, send me something. Oh, not send me, but show me something really different, and I'd be interested. That's why I kind of like the Evans amps, just because they're a little bit different. I don't know if I'd buy one of those just based on what I've heard of them. I think they sound good, but they're not my kind of sound. But I like the fact they're kind of doing something a little bit different to other brands. I really don't like the straight up just clone amps. I'm a bit over it. And yeah, I don't know how to feel about that. But I've heard lots of good things about them. But if I get a chance to play one, I'll give it a go. But yeah, I'm not rushing out to play another clone. I'm sure that, like I said, and it's kind of hypocritical of me too, because I've got like a Les Paul clone over here and the Harley Benson and whatever else. But yeah, when it comes to amps, they're sometimes way more expensive than what they're trying to be or what they are. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. What are the best humbucker pickups you've listened to for a blues kind of little wild pickups instead of the classy, clean single coils? Ah, little wild. So, I mean, look, the blues playing is what makes the guitar sound like a blues guitar. Realistically, the pickups are a small factor in it, and some would argue a big factor. But I always say to people, like, if they've got a hot sounding Les Paul, turn the gain down or run the bass down a little bit on the amp. You can still get a great blues tone. It comes from the playing more than it comes from the pickups. And that's why I made the mistake of going through that rabbit hole for years of different pickups and wondering, oh, no, maybe I wasted my money. And realistically, if I had spent more time with certain pickups, I probably would have made them work, right? So my suggestion is to make life easy, you can go for any type of PAF pickup or PAF pickup. Burst buckers are unreal. They would be my two immediate thoughts in terms of like Gibson style ones. I love these. I think these are great. They'll do anything you throw at them. Does Linux even have music programs? It does. I covered all of that on the video. The Danny Gatton single coils are humbuckers. So they're humbuckers, or they're noiseless pickups. They're like dual rail ones, but they're not like Damasio's in terms of their output. They got the same output as my single coils. They're like 3.5K and 4K or something like that. So they're pretty low outputs, and you'll find like most custom pedal pickup builders will say the Joe Bardens are the best because of that. They're, even though they don't sell them, right, they're making their own pickups. They say the best tally alternatives are the Bardens based on their output. They're not doing anything crazy. The good thing about the pickups too, which gives them more flexibility, they don't buzz, and you can throw as much distortion at them as you like, and it handles it, but it still sounds like a tally. They're unreal. They're unreal. Pickups in that PRS are awesome. Thanks, Hutch. I love this guitar. It's just so easy to play. It really is. Hey, Texas Blues Alley. We were talking about you before, man. I always get asked, who do I recommend for blues lessons? So that check you promised me, mate, it's hopefully in the mail. No, I'm only kidding. Yeah, there you go. So if you've got any blues-related questions, we have the master of the online blues lessons here. Right after I played a bit of allegedly Texas-style flooding song earlier. All right, I'll try it again now he's here. I'll see if I won't butcher it as badly. Be good if I had a Strat. Oh, yeah, I sold it. Damn. Here we go, man. Oh. You know, one of my favorite Albert Collins bends, and I guess Stevie does it as well. Albert King, sorry, my bad. It's the bend down I love. The bends up are great for the attitude, but then you bring it back. Yeah, I love that down bend. Actually, I got a question for Texas Blues Alley while he's here. I'm going to try and do a couple of hangout streams again now that the technology is sort of catching up. So if you're interested, man, let us know. We'll work it out whenever works for you, and yeah, that'd be really fun. Do I do any Stevie Ray? Look, I know some of the riffs for some of his songs, but I never really wanted to sound like him that much. Like I love his playing. Like his playing's phenomenal. But there was when I was playing blues, when I first started, there was a lot of guys doing that. They were even wearing the hats. I'm like, man, you're from Melbourne, and you want to really like imitate that to the nth degree. So yeah, for me, I was always more of a fan of Clapton's sort of approach, the more sort of subdued approach, or maybe more traditional approach in some ways. Stevie was like the master of like never running out of ideas, and the intensity was there. But I loved Albert King, right? So I heard a lot of Albert King in Stevie's playing, and Stevie's like the great mix of Albert King and Hendrix, you know, for how he played. But I sort of more it's all personal taste, right? Everyone likes different things. I always more gravitated towards sort of like Clapton, Robert Cray, and Albert King. They were like the guys that I always loved their subtleties and vibrato and all that kind of stuff. So, but yeah, I know a few of his. I can butcher a few of his songs, but yeah, I never went that deep into the Stevie Ray sort of rabbit hole, because there's a lot to learn about it. And some of it's great. The shuffle thing, that whole shuffle thing, which I can't do in that style, is great. I always appreciate a great sort of Texas shuffle in open E or drop, you know, in E flat. No, let's not do that one. So that's another song I never learnt. I just go by ear. I don't even know if that's right. Oh. It's clearly not right. Anyway, Gary Moore's great. Yeah, I reckon Gary Moore's kind of an underrated blues player. He's a great rock and roll player, great vocalist. I like his singing. I just think he's an all-round gun. Like, he's a great player. Really, really is. Super underrated. He's as good as anybody. Just, you got to be into the high-intensity stuff to enjoy it. Oh, all right, awesome, Anthony. Thanks, man. I'll be in touch. I'll send you an email. We'll work it out. Texas Blues has online lessons. Yeah, he's the man. Like I was talking about before, I mentioned it a few times on the stream. So, yeah, I have no hesitation to recommending his stuff. I saw you posted a video, 1 hour of guitar licks, or all of my licks in 1 hour. I'm going to have a listen to that. I just saw it pop up before. But yeah, as I've sort of gotten older, I appreciate something a little different than the minor pentatonics all the time. That's why Chris Kane, this guy here, like, just blows my mind every time I listen to him. He's got all the stuff that you've heard from some of your favorite players, you know, the B.B. King sort of vocal and that approach, and then all the just amazing stuff. He's a freak. Such a great player. And I'm really loving the staccato kind of stuff from Tommy Castro as well. Now, he's really good at some of the stuff like those. That's not maybe one of his licks, but he plays a lot of like horn line stuff. I think some of these guys who play saxophone are really in touch with that da 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 da. You know, those kind of notes as opposed to just that kind of stuff. I'm doing that more and more, like especially on like minor stuff. Just playing something a little bit different for the ear. Yeah, Chris Kane's amazing, man. He just he's a lovely guy too. He's just the nicest dude. Really cool dude. Amazing singer. You know, he's a freak. He plays great piano. He can sing and play piano. He used to do all his own saxophone parts on all of his albums, all the horn parts. Just one of those unbelievably great players. You know, he came at a good time. You know, I was starting to get really kind of bored with what I had been listening to, and I hadn't found anyone that really lit the spark for blues in ages, man. Like Tommy Castro, I'd already been listening to for years, and I hadn't felt like that re-energized by a guitar player and singer in ages. There's a lot of good guitar players, but they might not have the vocal, or there's a lot of great singers who don't have the guitar playing, you know. So Chris Kane is like the best of both, and his vibe is great. He loves it. You know, when I said to him, I actually met him, and I said to him, man, you know, like I love what you do. You completely re-energized my approach or my interest in guitar after hearing you. I was like, man, you just a great player. So yeah, he's a real humble dude too. Iron Mike, yeah, man. Michael Burks was he's another one of my favorites as well. That Empty Promises, what a song. How's it go? Empty Promises. Man, what a vocal. You want to hear someone who sounds like Albert King? Yeah, I'm getting all the Kings and Alberts confused. Albert King, Michael Burks, Empty Promises. Look it up. It'll give you chills. He's just an amazing, amazing player. What do you think about Mayers playing with Dead & Company? You know what? I didn't listen to any of it. I heard some of it briefly on YouTube, and it wasn't really my sort of music. I might have another listen to it, because I see a lot of that stuff popping up, Dead & Company, this and that, on YouTube lately in recommendations. So maybe I'll give it another go. But yeah, I liked his trio stuff. Mayer's trio stuff was great. You know, Continuum was great. If you're a guitarist, you'll get a kick out of that. I just have a hard time. I mentioned this seems to come up on nearly every stream, but I say this, but I just don't like his vocals, man. Like I've gone off it. I like these blues vocals, but after he had his throat thing, it's back to sounding like he's 16 or something. I just don't get it. The only other band I've really like binge listened to lots, or which is binge listening to, I guess, is Mofro, JJ Gray and Mofro. These guys. Just killer. Look up Old Glory by Mofro, Mofro. There's a live clip jamming in a van. I share it on my feed about once a month. It's so good. Hey, Metalhead Hippie, welcome, man. Thanks for stopping by my channel the other day. No worries. Hey, Guitar Gate's here. Far out, all the cool cats are here. Hey, Dana, welcome, man. You want to see one of my favorite unpredictable players? Go check out Guitar Gate's YouTube channel. Just when you think he's gonna, he'll be going like this, right? No, he'll do something way more interesting. But yeah, I love the unpredictable nature of his playing. It's great. It's a breath of fresh air. Check out a 70s band called Beat Club. Okay, cool. Oh, band on Beat Club. Sorry, I got you. Tedeschi's Trucks. Yeah, I like Derek Trucks band. Yeah, they got a lot of good music, a lot of different stuff. Like I think every album's a little bit different, which is pretty cool. Gary Clark Jr. has modernized blues a little. That's the whole idea, it's one thing to be clunking away on 12 bars, but if you can throw anything different in there from time to time for a songwriter, just do it. I took a lot of patterns from blues. Like instead of playing a 4 minor, you might want to play like a dominant. And then you start coming up with these chord progressions that just sound that little bit different. And I think that's what these guys do. They take their influences from whatever they listened to as a kid, as well as their own little approach to it, and they change things up. So what am I using for a camera tonight? It's not as clear as usual. I'm just using the same web camera I always use. It's the Logitech C920. But I'm on limited bandwidth at the house, and I'm assuming the internet's probably getting pretty choked with everything that's going on. So apologies for the live stream quality. It's been crap since I moved when was it, July? It'll be fixed at the end of May. At the end of May, I'll have 40 meg up, I think. So it'll be somewhere between 20 and 40 meg as opposed to 1.5 meg. So yeah, it'll be fixed. I'll be able to stream with my GH5. I'm looking forward to that. Oh, Phil Manning, yeah, he's another great player. Yeah, I'm never really big into chain. I think that was like before my generation. I think that was something that was big in the 70s. I should be streaming at 1080p still, even though it's a limited bandwidth. I've got it set up like that. I did hear something about, there you go in the chat now, YouTube's limiting bandwidth, which is pretty surprising. You would think the infrastructure could handle it anyway, but yeah, let's see if it is actually streaming at 1080, because I think what happens now is you have to physically change it to 1080. Something like that anyway. Like it will still be an option, but maybe it's not. Maybe my internet just sucks today. I didn't even check. I know I've still seen it as HD. Australia's still 720, 1080. Yeah, it's coming through as 720 by default here. So I don't know, but yeah, it'll be a little pixelated. I can't help that. It's just the quality. This is the same as it always is. Yeah. I like those false harmonics. Wolf, thanks for hanging out, mate. I appreciate that. We'll probably wrap it up soon anyway. I've been going for ages. So 13 more minutes, which makes it 3 hours, I think. Oh, maybe not quite. Is it 3 hours? I don't know. It's maybe 2.5, but whatever. Can't remember what time I started. Where's that TV yellow Les Paul Jr.? It is... Oh, it's in the case. It's hiding. I got my Flying V. I've got my Little Crow. I've got the Tokai Love Rock. I've got my Fender Original Series Tele. And I got the Harley Benton DC Jr., which wasn't playing earlier in terms of staying in tune. I still haven't changed the strings. I'm going to keep the Love Rock. I am. Absolutely. Yeah, it after having the treble bleed mod put in the new switch, it's totally transformed this instrument. I love. Oh, let's see the V. All right, I'll get the V. A few people are asking for it. Up. All right. Now I'm all tangled. Hang on. Oh, no way. What the hell? Ha! Alright, there we go. Sorry, guys. Alright, let's get the V. Let's get the V going. Oh, I banged the microphone, sorry. Headphones got tangled. Man. Still got the plastic on there. I'm gonna take that off. Oh yeah, so now this is one of those fun guitars to play seated. You gotta kind of do this as a short ass playing a Flying V. There we go. Just spent 5 minutes tracking down a badass Chris Kane solo, and it won't even let me post a link to it here. I tell you what, I'll make you a mod for 30 seconds, and you'll be able to post it now. So go for it. My favorite one is Helping Hand. It's like a 1/4 sort of thing, like. Yeah, it might even be a minor actually, because he does a lot of that. That's where I got all those licks from. You've heard me play like for a while. Those and all those. They're all sort of Chris Kane wannabe licks. They're not as good, but yeah. I'm out of tune. This room gets really cold at night, and then I didn't think I was going to use this one today, so I didn't tune it up. Once the light goes on, it gets really warm. Oh, that's right out, far out. Hopefully Harley Benton release a proper V soon. I pre-ordered their new Explorer. That's cool, man. Awesome stuff. As a lefty just starting out and being Aussie, it's great to see a lefty Aussie player. Thanks. Iro? Is that how you pronounce it? Iro? Or is that silent? Is it like raw? Maybe. A world full of chaos, at least we have each other. Absolutely. Yeah, this chair I'm on has got like all these things underneath it that make cables very unhappy. It just tangles up really all the time when I'm sitting on this blue chair. It happens all the time between takes on videos too. It's crazy. Yeah, Anthony, if you want to post that link again, man, go for it. You're welcome to. It should work now. If you want to post it again, share it. That's totally fine. Thanks, Surferby. Yeah, I don't know. I just find like, you always feel like there's plenty more you could refine or learn, and it's hard to live in the moment when you play guitars and be happy where you are. It's just, yeah, the times you play the best are where the times you're thinking about it the least. And that's just totally true. It's almost like and I don't play well compared to how I play live a whole lot better than me just sitting here noodling around. And that's not to sound like conceited, but it's true. Like, my live playing is much better than my noodling around on my own in a room. So yeah, that's kind of like my focus is that side of it more than it is anything else. And also, you probably hear the best of my playing on my intro tracks. I try to get them to a standard that I'm happy with. It might take me 2 or 3 goes, but that's usually where I put the most time into, is getting those rhythm parts right. And you'll see some cool ones coming up hopefully in the next couple of days. Thanks, DCS Junior. Appreciate that, man. You too. Oh, I can't reach. No, doesn't want to work. You need a light touch and light strings to get super shreddy. You're probably right. Yeah, I can't do any of that sort of really shreddy stuff. It's not even a sound that I can admire that, but it's not something that is even on my radar for stuff to learn. All I should really do is listen to this guy and just take as much as I can out of his playing over the next however long we're locked down for, because the best stuff that I pulled out, I've learned so many of his riffs, and some of them I've forgotten. And what is it? Ah, that's not right. Chris Kane is bloody having me demonetized. The more I drink, the better I sound. Yeah. To yourself, that might be the case. I remember I don't drink much, right? And I went 3 years without really drinking anything just because I chose not to. I remember I was in Florida and I had a couple of my friends bought me some shots, and I don't do that stuff. And I got up and played, and I was good for about 10, 15 minutes, and then I was all over the place. It just wasn't happening. So yeah. But I thought I sounded good. You watch it back, you're like, oh, it's all bad. I missed the harmonic. Anyway, that's horrible to listen to. Yeah, listen to this. This is good content. Yeah, how about that? You won't get that on Guitar Gate's YouTube channel or Anthony's Texas Blues Alley. You gotta come here for this one. Epic. All right. What part of Florida did you visit? I've been there a lot of times. So pretty much everywhere. I haven't been to Miami yet, and that was on the cards for this trip that got cancelled, sadly. But I've been pretty much down to Sarasota, Orlando, all the way like Tampa and New Smyrna Beach, Daytona, Jacksonville, all the way through the Panhandle. So one of my favorite places in the States is Tallahassee, in terms of Florida, at least. Anyway, I really like that place. It's pretty cool. Yeah, so I've been lucky enough to sort of see a lot of Florida. Driven through Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, New Orleans, Been to Austin, Texas, Boston, San Francisco a whole lot of times, LA, Chicago. Man, yeah, just lots of places over the years. Travel was one of Michigan, all through Michigan. You know, I always, yeah, traveling for me is kind of like my, you know, I love it as much as I love playing guitar. It's just, I really dig it. I love this guitar. See if I have the volume on. That's neck pickup. Gap between Fender and Gibson is huge, but the gap between Gibson and PRS is also huge. In terms of price, is it, or are we talking quality? Because I would argue Fender quality control is like unreal. But if we're talking price, probably that, yeah. There are some pretty expensive Fenders out there. I mean, there's one at Sky Music, it's 12,000 Australian dollars, which is like $8,000 US. So, yeah, there's some, it's 13,000 actually. It's some black guitar with some dude's initials on there. It's like, it either says HAL or something like that. I can't remember what it is, but yeah. Yeah, another, what's the other Chris Kane lick I stole? Yeah, I mean, all of these ones, basically, that you've heard me play to death, those. Yeah, a lot of that sort of stuff is the Chris Kane. That's his slow blues sort of thing. Yeah, he's a great player. All right, we'll wrap it up. It's been ages and I'm running out of licks. So go listen to Chris Kane. Yeah, just chuck it on. Find some YouTube videos. There's a really amusing video of him playing with not only Tommy Castro, but another one where he's playing with what's the dude's name? Larry Carlton. And Chris just goes for it. Like, it's like, oh, take a solo, and Chris is all over it, man. It's just like. And the great thing about Chris Kane too, right? He's got the vocal, so he's killing it on his vocal, and then he just can play like a monster. At the end of his guitar solo, he gives it to Larry. Larry's like, "You get out of here." It's awesome. They're both awesome players. It's pretty funny. So yeah, there's a solo with Chris Kane and Tommy Castro. It's a 10-minute video clip. It looks like it's shot on a potato. That video is one of the funniest Chris Kane live moments ever. Tommy's like one of the best blues players out there, right? He's fantastic. Great feel, great uniqueness. Everything about his playing is unreal. Super funky. Chris does this like 8-minute blues song at this festival. He's just completely oblivious to everyone. Not oblivious to the band, but just oblivious to how packed the venue was, I think. And he's just going and going and going, and the band are like, man, this guy never runs out of ideas. He's very much like one of those kind of channel players, getting going, and he could play for 30 minutes and make it sound great. And I've seen him do it live. Like he takes an 8-minute slow blues solo, and you're like, that was what, 8 minutes? Really? What? Hugh Caldwell says, Shane, I remember back when you had long hair and YouTube was in its infancy. Congrats with what you've done with the channel. Long time fan. Thanks, mate. I appreciate that. Yeah, I don't really have like the biggest subscriber base out there compared to a lot of other channels, but you know, it's growing again, which is great, and the views are always on the way up, which has been great. I think I boxed myself in with too many effects pedals at one point, but that's what worked for me, so I just started doing more of that. But yeah, I'm really enjoying the freedom of being able to post like a whole lot of different content and being, you know, having it grow. And next year, whenever the trip actually takes place, I'll be bringing you some different stuff I've been thinking about for a long time. It sucks it can't be this year, but yeah, it is what it is. You know, there's bigger problems than having to cancel that trip. So Anthony, you can post the full link if you want, man. I modded you, so you can do that, no problems. But there it is there. So yeah, I'll copy it there as well. There we go. All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out. I appreciate it. Anthony, I'll send you an email. Just give me, if you don't get it tonight or today over there, it'll be just no rush. Tomorrow, next day, whatever, I'll send it through to you. Yeah, I'd like to start doing some more chats with other people. It makes it more interesting. We take some Q&A with someone different and hang out, talk guitars, talk players, talk concepts, and whatever else we can think of. And yeah, thanks again, everybody, for joining in. Let me just do a bit of a thank you list here. We got Craig Clark, Tone Pilot, Pork Chop, Brinkwolf, Guitar Journey, Jamal. Thanks, man. Derek, thank you. Doug J, Benevolent24, Joe Mac, Todd Steele, Guitar Journey again, Brinkwolf, Far Out, Guitar Journey again. Thank you, everyone who used the super chat. But thanks, most importantly, for hanging out and helping me kill time as well and having some fun. So, yeah, we'll try and do another live stream probably next week. We've got a couple of different videos coming up this weekend. We'll see how they go. But if you've ever thought about recording at home, I would highly recommend the next video that's coming up. I cover everything. It's all time-stamped. I might even try it as a live premiere too, so we'll see how we go. Be safe, everybody, and keep playing the blues. I'm limited to only playing the blues, but yeah, it's fun, so it works. All right, guys, take care. Thanks again. I'll catch up with you soon. Thank you.